All right, the jurors are all back. If the witness would get back on the witness stand, please, and the record will reflect that all counsel are here as well as both defendants. All right, Mr. Burt.
Dr. Oziel, were you asked to bring some additional letters to court with you from Ms. Smith?
I'm sorry?
Were you asked by the prosecution to bring some additional letters that you have from Ms. Smith?
No.
Do you have any letters with you from Ms. Smith?
I do not.
Whether you were asked to bring them or not?
No, I don't.
All right. Now, getting back to this court day thing, you described that as a technical violation. I think you also said that court day sued you. Is that correct?
Overall.
Yes.
And do you know how much money your insurance company ended up paying him?
Sustained.
Did you get involved in the settlement negotiations between the lawyer for the your insurance company and court day in settling his lawsuit?
I don't recall.
He sued you for medical malpractice?
That would be inaccurate.
Inaccurate or accurate?
Inaccurate.
What did he sue you for?
Well, he couldn't sue me for medical malpractice. I'm not a physician. He sued me for professional liability, but I don't recall what the actual complaint was. It was a long time ago.
But malpractice was basic?
Some
psychological malpractice?
That's what he sued me for, yes.
All right. Was that, in your view, a technical lawsuit?
Sustained.
Was the lawsuit that was filed against you a technical lawsuit in your view?
Objection sustained.
You also have currently pending against you an accusation filed by the Attorney General of the state of California.
Objection beyond scope.
Overall.
Yes, I stated that.
And in your view, is that also a technical violation?
I can't answer that question, Mr. Burt. It doesn't relate to the question you asked before.
You have an explanation, I think you said, for that one too, right?
I'm not following any of the questions you're asking. Could you please restate what you're asking?
You're aware that the Attorney General has filed another complaint against you, correct?
Yes, the second complaint. That's correct.
And my question is, you have an explanation for that one too, correct?
Objection irrelevant. Beyond the scope.
Objection sustained.
Doctor, you feel you have an explanation for everything that's been asked of you here in the courtroom. Isn't that true?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
Doctor, do you have a book deal in the works right now?
No, I don't.
Have you talked about writing a book about your experience in this case?
Beyond the scope.
Sorry?
This is on the issue of his reluctance as a witness.
Objection overruled. What was the question? Let's have it read back, please.
Question, have you talked about writing a book about your experiences in this case?
I wouldn't characterize that as being a true statement, no.
Well, in what ways isn't it true?
Well, at one point, going through all of the political and different kinds of situations that have come up, I think I might have mused that it might be interesting someday to write all that down and maybe write a book about my own personal experiences, not having to do with the Menendezes per se at all. And that was amusing, and there was never any agreement to do anything. It was simply something that I communicated.
That you communicated to who?
Probably to one or two people, just in musing over all these years.
And was a literary agent contacted pursuant to those musings?
Yes, actually, a person associated with the public relations firm that did the press conference gave me a call and suggested that she had had a conversation with someone who was a literary agent who would be interested in talking with me, or might be interested in talking with me. That person, I had a conversation saying it was just something that I'd considered and that it wasn't appropriate at this time. Person arrived in town, called me, did not return the person's call, had a secretary return the person's call and say it would be completely inappropriate for me to discuss anything about anything like that now, and if ever there was such a thing to even be discussed, it wouldn't be until after the trial was totally over, and I didn't even know in any event whether that was anything that I'd ever want to do.
All right, so you focus on now was not the appropriate time.
No, I think what I stated is that I don't know if that's anything I'd ever want to do.
And have your musings included how much money you could potentially make for over writing such a book?
No, that was never even raised as an issue, discussed, and it wasn't even anything that I thought of.
Never entered your mind.
No, what entered my mind was an opportunity to discuss what it's like to be a witness in this kind of a situation, and how actually being a witness in many ways is like being put on trial, except that you don't have representation, and you have no attorney who has standing to represent you. So it's this experience, actually, Mr. Burt, that we're having right now that I thought might be interesting for people to understand about the position of being a witness in a widely publicized murder trial. So that was my incentive, being able to express this experience and potentially, if I ever decided to do such a thing, to allow other people to be able to understand something about what it's like.
And that would be strictly out of educational, humanitarian goals on your part in terms of educating the public, would it not?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
Now, if I ever did have that musing or that feeling, the primary purpose would have been my desire to, at some level, express what my experiences have been. Definitely was not for financial purposes.
And by the way, you've been represented throughout these proceedings in this court, have you not?
Well, I have an attorney, but he doesn't have standing with respect to this.
Well, he's appeared many times in this court and made arguments on your behalf, has he not?
Objection, irrelevant, Your Honor.
Overruled.
He's appeared several times, yes.
Made arguments on your behalf? in
Yes,
this
he
court?
has.
So it's not like you were in here all by yourself, having to fend for yourself, was it?
Well, I think Mr. Brunon has been here a very small, almost negligible percentage of the time that I've been here.
He's been here to represent you when you wanted him to, has he not?
Sometimes.
And has your musings about this book possibility included musings that any money that was offered to you would be refused?
I think I answered the question, that I never thought about the money one way or the other, and that never entered into any discussion.
Well, my question is, if you did write such a book, would you take money for it? Or would you refuse it on ethical grounds?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
No, I don't think that I would refuse money, but I never decided to write the book to begin with, and secondly, that wasn't the basis for me ever even considering it, and it was amusing. It was not a plan, and I have no preparation plan, outline, or discussion or agreement with anyone to write a book.
Now, correct?
I'd never have had one, don't have one, and in my own mind right now have no intention of writing a book.
In your own mind, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Burt.
That's all I have.
All right. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, what we will do is have examination of the witness, which will relate only to the Erik Menendez jury, and therefore the Lyle Menendez jury will be excused. What I'll do is have you on the Lyle Menendez jury come back at 3 o'clock, give you a long lunch hour, and hopefully by then we'll have completed this other examination.
Your Honor, just for guidance, I believe I'm entitled to do now cross and recross. Is that
Yes.
correct? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Your
Yeah.
Honor. Which branch of the Army? Army 1, Army 3, which Army were you in?
I don't have any idea what Army 1 and Army 3 mean.
Did you ever hear of the Big Red 1, for example?
No, I never did.
The Army, the United States Army, is broken up into different actual armies, and people are assigned to those sub-armies. Did you know that?
No.
Where did you
didn't.
serve in the United States Army?
I was in Fort Knox, and then I was at Fort Lewis.
And you said you were honorably discharged in June of 1968, is that right?
I believe that's true.
And isn't that also the time that you got your Psychology Bachelor of Science? Same time, June 1968, for the University of Washington.
That's correct.
You were in the ROTC, weren't you?
I was in the Army and honorably discharged. If you like, I can bring in the honorable discharge.
Were you in the ROTC?
Oh, yes, I was in the ROTC.
That was the full extent of your Army experience, was the Reserve Officer Training Corps, isn't that correct?
The Reserve Officer Training Corps, the advanced individual training for officers. And at the point that I was about to assume duties as a lieutenant in the Army. They discharged me for medical purposes that had to do with medical condition that I had at the time.
So unlike everybody else, or most, no, strike that, unlike most people who were in the ROTC in college, who after college then go and serve active duty, you never did. Isn't that true?
No, I never claimed to serve active duty.
And what was the nature of the medical disability that discharged you before you served active duty?
I had some severe food allergies that the Army felt would result in serious problems for me if I stayed in the Army.
And this was in 1968 while the Vietnam War was going on, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, I want to read to you the letter dated June 15th, 1989, that you said was sent to you by Judelon Smith following upon numerous lengthy discussions about business proposals. Okay, you know which letter I mean?
No.
May I approach?
Well, let me see counsel at the sidebar here before you do that. All right?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you Exhibit 120. That's the June 15th letter that I'm referring to.
Okay.
All right, now I'd like to read this to you. Hi, Jerry. Thank you for your time and consideration. Enclosed is my poetry book as a token. Now, do you know what she is referring to, what Ms. Smith is referring to about your time?
I just think that she's referring to having had the patience to listen to her present her pitch or her proposal to me, her business proposal.
And her business proposal was that she would produce a line of tapes for you? Is that what you're saying?
That and duplicate tapes, both.
All right. And explain to me why the next paragraph begins, if you don't have your own tape line, you should. And since that is my business, perhaps I could be of some help to you or the center. So please file my business card for future use. Isn't that what it says?
All right, counsel, if you would let the witness read it to himself, and then you can re-ask the question. The objection is sustained to the form of the question.
Why don't you read that to yourself?
I've read it.
Now, doesn't it appear from the phraseology here that she is inquiring as to whether you have your own tape line?
I don't know, I'd be speculating, but I think she was probably just, if you want me to speculate?
No, I want you, if you don't know the answer, or the answer is no, say no.
I don't know.
Fine. And when she says, perhaps I could be of some help to you, does that sound like you've already had a conversation where you've discussed in detail business proposals with her?
Objection, also speculation.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that this is the first time, after all of your lengthy phone conversations, that Ms. Smith ever raised her business side to you?
No, it's absolutely false.
And she sends you with this letter, does she not?
Counsel, unless there's a need to be up there at the
Well, I wanted to punch the
bench,
exhibit.
or at the witness stand, why don't you go back to the
Well,
podium?
may I ask a question for clarification
Well,
of
he
the witness
could
first?
see that there, so you could go back.
That's a Xerox copy, is it not, Dr. Oziel?
It is?
And a part of what's on that Xerox is a Xerox of her business card, which is at the top of the letter, correct?
That's correct.
And so she does send you her business card with that letter, is that correct?
That is a business card she sent with that letter.
And are you saying that she had sent you numerous business cards before that?
I don't recall. I certainly had a lot of different business cards sent to me by Judelon Smith, and I wouldn't recall when she sent me which one.
It appears, however, that from the tone of that letter, that this is the first time she's sending you a business card, doesn't it?
Speculation.
Sustained.
Well, is that how you interpret that letter?
I don't interpret anything. It would be speculating.
Now, how long after you received her business card and that letter did you meet her?
I don't recall.
You have no recollection how long after that you met her?
Okay, again, the question has no meaning since it's out of context, so you have to rephrase the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recall how long after the June 15th letter you met Miss Smith?
No, I don't, with any
No
precision.
idea at all?
No, I said with any precision. I could estimate. Are you
Please
asking me?
estimate.
I would estimate it was within several weeks of this letter, but I don't recall.
Okay, so the first time you met her was several weeks after your receipt of that letter.
No, I said that would be my best estimate.
Your
of when
best
I met
estimate
her.
is the first time you laid eyes upon her was within several weeks of receipt of that letter. Is that correct?
To the best of my recollection.
And prior to meeting her, did you send her blank stationery from the Beverly Psychiatric and Psychological Center?
No, I didn't.
Then can you explain, Dr. Oziel, how it is that Judalon Smith signed a confidentiality agreement dated June 1st, 1989 on your letterhead?
Yes, I can. Would you like me to explain it?
Let me just make sure we're talking about the same thing. Exhibit 101.
I know what we're talking about. Want me to explain it?
No. I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Isn't it true, in fact, that you asked Judalon Smith to write a confidentiality agreement, that one, sometime after November 2nd, 1989, and you told her to backdate it to make it appear that she had a confidentiality agreement with you before the meeting of October 31st?
No, it is not.
Ron, I want to go into one other area of my... No, it's an area of my cross. Never mind. It's an area of my cross. You were shown shotgun purchase records, your shotgun purchase records,
That's correct.
and you signed on one of those records?
That's to my recollection, I did.
Your wife signed on the other?
That's correct.
Did you discuss with your wife before you purchased the shotguns how you would use them?
No.
Did you discuss with your wife after you purchased the shotguns how you would use them?
No.
Overruled.
Did you discuss with Ms. Smith how she should use the shotgun that you put into her hands on November 6th?
Can you clarify what you mean by how you should use them?
You didn't understand the question?
No, actually, I'm just thinking as you're asking it that you may be meaning something that I don't understand.
Well, let me ask you this. When you decided to purchase these shotguns, how did you envision that you would use it?
Oh, I envisioned that I would use the shotgun to protect myself in the event someone was coming to harm me physically.
Just anyone or someone in particular?
Well, specifically, the concern I had at that time was that Lyle or Erik would, or both of them, would be potentially a danger to my life, and that is the reason that I purchased the shotguns. I think I've testified to that.
Now, you didn't carry these shotguns around with you in your car, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't take them to your office, did you?
No, I didn't.
You left them at your home for use there, correct?
That's correct.
So isn't it true that you envisioned some scenario where Erik and Lyle would come to your house and you would use that shotgun?
No, that wouldn't be a correct conclusion.
You never thought of that?
No, I did think of that.
Okay, tell me what you thought. What did you picture? Them coming and somehow breaking into your house, correct?
That was one potential, yes.
Okay, and you envisioned that possibility happening, correct?
Among a great many other possibilities, yes.
And you envisioned yourself taking that shotgun and using it to defend yourself against Erik and Lyle at your home, correct?
If they were coming to kill me, yes.
Okay, and you envisioned yourself, therefore, killing your patients potentially if necessary, correct?
If they were about to kill me.
And you decided in working out this chain of events in your mind that that was preferable to calling the police. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Now, I'd like to give you Exhibit 97. May I approach you?
Yes.
just want you to keep these in front of you for right now, Dr. Oziel. I'm going to get my copy. Now, Dr. Oziel, I want to talk to you about record keeping, okay? I'm going to ask you a series of very specific questions about record keeping. You understand?
I understand.
All right. Now, if you would take a look at the ledger cards, and I'd like to focus your attention.
All right, before you do that, we'll take our recess and we'll resume at 1:30, ladies and gentlemen. Don't discuss this case with anyone, don't form any final opinions about it, and we'll resume at 1:30. I'll ask the council remain. Thank you very much. All right, we'll now resume with the testimony and with the witness, Dr. Oziel, if you get back on the stand, please. All right, you may continue your cross-examination.
Yeah, I better get Exhibit 97. just to make sure.
Yes, they're there.
Okay. Dr. Oziel, you have Exhibit 97, which is your ledger cards in front of you.
Yes, I do.
And you recall that Mr. Burt took you through those ledgers and had you identify all the dates upon which you had sessions with Erik and all the dates upon which you had consultations with his parents. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
Now, starting with September 30th, 1988, through all the meetings with the parents and sessions with Erik up until August 20th, did you prepare any kind of written notes of those meetings and sessions?
Yes, I did.
And did you prepare those notes generally during the meetings with the parents or the sessions with Erik?
No.
Did you prepare those notes, as was your general practice, sometime after the meetings and sessions?
That's correct.
And did you maintain those written, these are written notes on the notebook paper that you previously described you tended to use for notes?
Well, I think my testimony was that I used a variety of different kinds of paper for notes, but yes, it was on paper.
Okay. And you had these notes in some kind of patient file?
That's correct.
And how thick a pile of notes would you say you had between September 30th, strike that. How thick a pile of notes would you say you had comprising the notes beginning September 30th, 88 up to August 20th, 89? Can you show us with your fingers?
No, I couldn't do that.
Well, can you tell us with your words?
No, I couldn't do that either.
Well, was it a stack 3 feet high?
No, it definitely wasn't 3 feet high.
Well, give us your best estimate.
I don't think that I can relate to how thick the notes were. All I can tell you is that I had notes of sessions.
How many pages?
I don't recall.
Over 300?
No, not over 300.
Over 100?
I don't believe so.
Over 20?
I don't know.
Possible that it was even less than 20 pages of notes?
It's possible it was less. It's equally possible that it was more. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Well, you never saw those notes. You wrote those notes as the sessions were progressing over 88 and 89, correct?
Yes.
And didn't you go back to that entire set of notes after November 2nd?
Yes, I dictated some summaries of some of the things I thought were key from the notes.
When did you do that?
Sometime after November 2nd.
So sometime after November 2nd, you dictated a summary of some of the things that were in those written notes. That's what you just said, correct?
Some of the sessions.
I'm confused. Did you dictate a summary of what was in the written notes, or did you dictate a summary of some of the sessions that were represented by the written notes?
To the best of my recollection, I dictated some of the sessions and the bulk of what was in the sessions that I was dictating. I didn't include all the sessions, and I don't recall whether I dictated the entirety of the notes.
So you may not have dictated up information about each session that you actually had, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you might not have dictated everything for each session that you did dictate that was in the notes. Is that correct?
Could you repeat the second question?
Yes. Let's assume there was a session that you did do some dictating about, okay?
Yes.
When you say you dictated a summary from the notes, does that mean you might have left things out of the dictation that appeared in the written notes?
It's not my recollection that I left anything out of the sessions that I included, but it is my recollection that I didn't include all the sessions, and I don't have any more recollection than that.
You didn't include all the sessions that you had notes for? Is that what you're saying?
No, some of the sessions didn't seem particularly remarkable, and I was doing this I was basically just trying to capture with my dictation some of the things that had happened previously and to not have any written notes lying around.
I want to make sure I understand, Dr. Oziel. Are you saying that you dictated notes of the 88, 89 sessions off the top of your head or from the written notes?
No, I'm saying that I dictated the sessions from my memory of the written notes. I didn't have the notes in front of me at the time that I dictated the notes.
Oh, well, where were they?
I had destroyed the notes so as not to have any of this information around so that I could dictate them onto tape recordings and then store the tape recordings for the future.
You destroyed the notes before you dictated them?
That's what I just testified to, yes.
And you destroyed the notes after November 2nd?
No, I don't recall. Well, I guess I probably did. Or
So-
I don't know if it was October 31st or November 2nd. I don't know.
So first you destroy them and then you dictate what you remember from having read them. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yes, that's what I'm stating.
When did you destroy the notes?
As I just said, sometime around the time that I heard the confession.
Well, sometime after the time that you
Well,
heard the confession, I gather.
I mean near the time that I heard the confession.
Well, did you destroy these notes at the same time you were dictating the notes that you now have for October 31st and November 2nd?
No, I didn't. I destroyed the notes closer to the night of the confession.
And when did you do your dictating of those earlier notes, that year-long therapy history? When did you dictate the tape?
Soon after I destroyed the notes. Like
Before
within-
you dictated the October 31st, November 2nd tape, or after?
No, before.
So you destroy the early notes, and then you dictate up a set of substitute notes for the early sessions before you try to get down the 7.5 hours worth of sessions that you had with the Menendez brothers on October 31st and November 2nd. Is that what you're saying?
To the best of my recollection.
Didn't you have a safe in your house?
Yes, I did.
And you thought that it wasn't safe to put those written notes of the previous year's therapy in your safe at the house? Is that what you're saying?
My first response was to not have any written material anywhere in the house that related to anything that I thought could implicate Lyle or Erik Menendez in the commission of the murders of their parents. And so I thought that I think this is going to get into a privileged area.
No, why don't we get into this? You didn't even go to your house October 31st. Isn't that true?
No, I did not.
And you didn't go there November 1st.
I don't recall.
And you didn't go there November 2nd.
I think I said I don't recall.
Did you go there November 3rd?
Actually, it's not true that I didn't go there November 2nd.
Did you go there November 2nd?
Yes, I did.
When you were in terror and afraid?
Absolutely.
When did you go there November 2nd?
I went there after the session. Or I might have gone there November 1st, actually, or November 2nd. Sure I did.
Didn't you say you were secreting yourself at the home of Judalon Smith after October 31st? That's why you sent your wife and kids away, right?
Counsel, that's an argumentative question. Re-ask the question.
Haven't you previously testified here that you were secreting yourself at the home of Judalon Smith?
I was.
But you went back to your own house.
I think I've testified to that several times now.
When did you testify to it the first time, before just now?
Ask another question.
Why did you go back to your home November 1st?
For exactly these purposes.
To destroy things, is that correct?
To make sure that there was no evidence that might be related
I'm
to
going to
this.
object to that answer, Your Honor. This witness has been trying to do this
Counsel,
for 3
if you
days.
want to argue the matter, you can do so outside the hearing of the jury, or you can do so at the end of the trial when counsel have an opportunity to argue the matter to the jury.
I'd like
You know
to hear
that.
the sidebar.
Objection is overruled.
Dr. Oziel, can you answer the question I asked you? Do you think you're able to do that?
Counsel, again, ask the question. Don't ask the witness about the nature of your questioning.
When you went back to your house on November 1st, did you destroy the documents that would have linked people to Judalon Smith?
No.
You left those there, is that correct? Yes
To the
or
best of
no?
my recollection, I did.
Okay. So you could have gone back to your house on October 31st and destroyed all these papers that you say indicated there was a connection between you and Judalon Smith, couldn't you?
I didn't feel it was safe to go back to my house October 31st.
But it was safe to go back to your house November 1st. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I went back to my house
Is
and
that what you're saying? Was it safe to go back November 1st?
Objection is sustained. The question is argumentative in form.
Did you
Re-ask the
feel,
question.
thank you, Your Honor, did you feel it was safe to go to your house on November 1st? Yes or no?
No, I didn't.
But you went there anyways, that's correct?
That's correct.
Did you feel it was safe to go back to your house on November 2nd? Yes or no?
Not to stay there.
Did
No.
you go back to your house on November 2nd?
I might have.
You don't remember?
I think I did.
You do remember?
I think I did.
Did you go by yourself or did you have Miss Smith with you?
I don't recall.
Did you sleep at your house the night of November 2nd?
No, I did not.
Did you sleep at your house the night of November 1st?
No, I did not.
Did you have an argument with Miss Smith at her house on November 2nd and leave?
I do not recall any argument with Miss Smith on any particular night, and I don't recall having left.
You don't recall leaving her house November 2nd and going back to your own house to spend the night?
No, I do not.
Did you spend the night, any time during the week of October 31st on, did you spend a night with your wife at the Sportsman's Lodge?
Objection, this is beyond the scope, Your Honor.
Overruled.
No, I did not.
Did you return to your house on November 4th before you left for Newport Beach?
I don't recall.
Did you go to your house on November 4th in order to pick up a bathing suit to take with you to Newport Beach?
I don't recall.
While you were at your house on November 4th, did you show Miss Smith around the house?
Again, I don't recall.
Do you recall the first time you ever took Miss Smith to your home?
No, I don't.
Was there a first time that you ever took Miss Smith to your home?
Yes, there was.
Did you have a wine collection at that house?
I had some bottles of wine. I don't have a wine collection.
You had some bottles of wine, is that correct?
Sure, I own some bottles of wine.
Did you have bottles of wine at your house on November 4th, 1989?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did you show Miss Smith wine bottles at your house on November 4th, 1989?
Objection, beyond the scope.
Sustained.
Did you invite Miss Smith to loiter at your house on November 4th, 1989 for 2 hours?
Objection, vague, ambiguous, and irrelevant.
Sustained.
Now, it's your testimony that you were so afraid of Erik and Lyle that you had to leave town to go to Newport Beach. Is that correct?
That's my testimony.
And it's your testimony that you were so frightened by the fact that they didn't go to where you thought they were going in Hawaii that you bought shotguns, 3 of them, on Monday, November 6th. Is that your
All
testimony?
right, this has been asked and answered. Go on to something else, please.
You talked to Dr. Lulo on October 31st, right?
That's correct.
And did Dr. Lulo tell you that you should write very detailed notes and place them in a safe place as soon as possible?
That's correct.
And did you tell Dr. Lulo that you were going to go back to your house and destroy notes? Did you
No.
tell him that?
No, I didn't.
You saw Erik for the first time on October 4th, 1988, correct?
And this is beyond the scope, Your Honor.
Oh, it isn't. This is my cross.
I'm sorry?
This is my cross in front of the
Right,
jury.
the objection is overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I believe I testified that I don't know whether I saw him on September 30th or not.
I didn't ask you about September 30th. I asked you about October 4th. Did you see him on October 4th?
No, counsel. You asked me whether I saw him for the first time on September 30th, and the answer is I don't know if that's on October 4th, and I don't know that that's true because I may have seen him September 30th.
There's nothing on your ledger that shows that you saw Erik on September 30th, is there?
There's nothing on my ledger at all reflecting who I saw or didn't see.
How about your appointment book? Do we have your 88 appointment book, or did you destroy that also?
Objection argumentative.
Overruled.
No, I think you have my appointment book.
I don't have any.
Counsel, let's not respond to the inquiry of the
Okay,
witness.
the appointment books that were
Counsel's
seized...
remark is stricken. Your next question, please.
Thank you. Do you recall that the appointment books that were seized from you on March 8th were your 1989 and your 1990 appointment books? Do you recall that?
I don't recall. They took everything that was in my possession that I'm aware of that had the name of Erik or Lyle or Mr. and Mrs. Menendez in the books.
Do you have your 1988 appointment books at this time?
I am not aware of whether I do or don't.
Is the
Again,
answer you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you looked for them at all since you've started to be a witness here?
I have not.
All right, fine. And you don't have any recollection, I take it, of your destroyed notes to know if the session on September 30th was with Erik or Lyle or the parents or whoever. Is that correct?
That's correct. I don't recall whether, I know the parents were there. I remember that. I don't recall whether Erik was there or not.
All right. But you do have written down on your ledger that Erik was there October 4th, correct?
That's correct.
And so that is the first time that you could say with any degree of confidence that you saw him, correct?
That's the first time that I know certainly that I saw him.
Isn't that what I just asked you?
I don't know.
You don't know what I just asked?
Okay, counsel, he's given you the answer. Your next question, please.
In January of 1989, did Erik sign a waiver of confidentiality allowing you to tell his parents the content of his therapy with you?
Yes, he did.
And did you, subsequent to receiving that waiver, have conversations with his parents in which you availed yourself of that waiver of confidentiality?
At Erik's request,
Well,
I did discuss...
Can you answer that yes or no? Did you do that?
Not based upon the form of the question you asked, counsel.
Did you have conversations with his parents after he signed a waiver in which you utilized that waiver to tell them things previously privileged?
Counsel, let's rephrase the question. Break it down.
Did you have meetings with the parents after Erik signed the waiver?
Yes, I did.
Did you, in the meetings with the parents, tell them things that you would not have been able to tell them but for the waiver?
That's correct.
What's the next exhibit? Your Honor, I have a document I'd like to mark 127.
And what is that document?
It is it's on the letterhead of Beverly Psychiatric and Psychological Center, Release of Confidential Information, it's called. May I approach your?
Yes.
Showing you Exhibit 127. 127, does that appear to be a copy of the release of confidential information that Erik signed?
No, it does not.
Does not?
Nope, it's not.
Didn't you provide that document to the Santa Monica court in 1990?
Yes, that's not the release that was signed by Erik Menendez vis-à-vis me discussing things with Erik Menendez. You just given me...
Erik Menendez?
I mean...
José and Kitty Menendez. Does it say their names?
To save himself. This is the wrong release. You've given me the 118 to 218 release. That, it's not the release, is it? It's Jerry Chalif.
Also Jerry Jerome.
Okay, well, I know there were multiple releases, then it's my
Multiple
apology, then it wasn't this, I know that I had Erik sign several releases, and I don't know whether this corresponds to the time period or not that you're discussing, so.
I asked you if in January he signed a release, and that's at least one of the releases that he signed, so that you could discuss his therapy with his parents, correct?
That is one of the releases that Erik signed so that I could discuss his therapy.
With his parents and with his lawyer.
And with Jerry Chalif, yes.
That was his lawyer, correct?
That's correct.
That was his lawyer on this burglary stuff, right?
That's
As you
correct.
understood. Now, did you also prepare a report, a psychological evaluation of Erik, to be submitted to the juvenile court on his behalf?
Yes, I did.
May I mark this 128 wrong?
128. I
Can we
think that's the
approach the
report,
side?
is that? Is that the
It's called
report?
Confidential Psychological Evaluation, January 16th, 1989. Will we approach on this before I show it to the witness room?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, your next question, please.
The report that you prepared for juvenile court, did you address it to Jerry Chalif, Erik's lawyer?
I don't recall. You'd have to show me the report.
But I mean, you don't recall who you addressed it to?
No.
Did you address it to Erik?
I don't recall who I addressed it to.
So you have no recollection of that?
No, I do not.
You recall you testified that when you dictated the notes of October 31st and November 2nd, you were sitting on your bed in your bedroom. Is that right?
That's correct.
And were you in the same place and in the same position when you dictated your memories of the other notes?
I may have been. I don't recall.
Do you have any actual memory of the process of dictating your memories of the previously written notes?
Yes, I do have a memory of dictating them, but I don't recall specifically if I was sitting on my bed or sitting on a chair in my bedroom or which place
But
I was.
you were at
sitting
home.
in. Yes, I was at home.
By the way, you have mentioned the fact that, to your understanding, this family was referred to you by a therapist named Lester Summerfield. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you ever consult with Dr. Summerfield concerning what he knew? I'm not asking you to reveal those things. I'm just asking the fact. Did you consult with him concerning what he knew about this family at any time when this family was, or any members of this family were in therapy with you?
No, I did not. And the family was not in treatment.
I said, or any members. Did you hear that part of my question?
Well, you also said the family, and I wanted
Did you
to
hear
clarify.
that?
Okay, counsel, let's not bicker. Let's go on to another question, please.
To your knowledge, was Mrs. Menendez in treatment with Dr. Summerfield while you were seeing Lyle and Erik?
I don't know.
To your knowledge, was Mr. Menendez in treatment with anyone while you were seeing Lyle and Erik?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Well, did you consult with any other therapists concerning this family during the time that Erik and Lyle were in treatment with you?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Well, Your Honor, it's foundational.
We'll get on to the next issue then.
But it's not foundational to the next issue. It's foundational to other issues.
Well, get on to it.
After Erik and Lyle talked to you on October 31st and November 2nd, apart from your consultation with therapists about your fears and threats and the limits of confidentiality, did you consult with any other mental health professionals concerning them, their treatment, anything like that?
No, I did not.
On November 2nd, 1989, did you and Miss Smith go to Beverly Hills together prior to the session with Erik and Lyle?
I don't have any recollection of that.
Do you have any recollection of Miss Smith going down to a clothing store known as The Limited to make some purchases that afternoon before the session?
No, I don't.
Do you recall Miss Smith coming to your office with those purchases?
No, I don't.
Do you recall Miss Smith trying on those purchases for you the evening of November 2nd at her home?
No, I don't.
Were there any other patients in your office on November 2nd?
I don't recall.
Do you want to look at your appointment book to see if you had any appointments with other patients on November 2nd?
If you'd like to present that to me,
Would you like to see it?
to refresh my memory.
Look at Thursday, November 2nd.
I see it.
Are there any other patients listed for that day?
There are no other patients listed for that day.
So only Erik and Lyle were going to be seen by you that day, is that right?
Appears to be correct.
What time did the session begin?
There's no sure way to know that.
Doesn't indicate?
No, I think I just told the person who does billing that I had seen them for that period of time, and I don't know that the space, it's written in the middle of the schedule, and I don't know that that reflects when I actually saw them.
Well, how did you know what time to be there?
I made an appointment. but,
Yes, and where is that appointment memorialized?
It's not memorialized here. I made the appointment personally with Erik and Lyle, I
Face to
believe.
face, in fact, didn't you?
I don't recall that.
You made that appointment October 31st before they left, didn't you?
I might have.
They agreed to come back October 31st before they left, didn't they?
I don't know. I don't recall it.
But you recall that you personally made the appointment. Is that right?
Recall I made the appointment, but I don't recall when it was, and I don't believe it was October 31st.
Did you write it in a book when you made it?
No.
So do you remember what time it was made for?
I think I've already testified that I don't recall what time that it was, and it may not be where it's written in this book. She was simply noting the amount of time that I spent with him.
I wasn't asking what's in the book. I'm asking about your memory, upon which you have relied to great extent in this case, have you not?
Yes, I have.
And let's talk about your memory. What time was the appointment?
I don't
You're
recall.
asking about November the 2nd, is
Yes,
that
Your
right?
Honor.
It was in the afternoon, or took place in the afternoon. I don't recall specifically whether it took place at 12:15 or 1:15 or 1:45.
What time did you go to your office that day?
I don't recall.
Where were you before you went to your office that
All right,
day?
this area's been asked and answered. Go on to something else, please.
Well, didn't ask by me, Your Honor.
Well, you had an opportunity to do that before. Go on to something else, counsel.
Now, did Erik and Lyle come together that day?
To the best of my recollection, they did.
Did you see them arrive?
I don't recall having seen them arrive.
Were you in the waiting room waiting for them?
I don't recall that.
Was it your general standard and practice to escort your patients out after a session?
There is no general standard of practice that I have with that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
On this occasion, did you walk out with Erik and Lyle after the session on November 2nd?
I don't recall.
But you do recall seeing Miss Smith in the waiting room. Is that right?
I have a recollection of Miss Smith being in the waiting room and that she was there.
And was she there when they walked out?
I think I've already testified that I don't recall. I think she was there, but I don't recall whether I looked and saw her there or not. I have an image of having seen her in the waiting room at some point in the session on that day.
How could you see her in the waiting room in the session? You're in a room, you're down this L-shaped corridor, aren't you? In a room with the two doors between you, right?
Let me clarify.
Well, let me ask you.
Okay, let's ask a question in a non-compound way, please.
Did you leave the session at some point and walk into the waiting room?
Yes, I did.
And that's when you saw her there?
At some point when I walked into the waiting room, yes, I saw her there.
Okay. So then, after the session's over, do you still see her there?
She was there.
No, that's not my question. Did you see her there after the session is completely over?
Yes, I recall having seen her there.
Okay, and why did you go into the waiting room at that point, at the point when you see her there for the second time?
To leave.
Okay, so you're leaving at this point, correct?
I believe that I was leaving, yes.
And she leaves with you, correct?
I don't know if she left with me or not. I don't recall.
Well, didn't you go back to her house that night?
Yes, but I don't recall whether she left with me or whether she had her own transportation and drove back to her house.
So you don't know that?
Well, my recollection would be that she drove back in her own vehicle, which is the reason that I said that I don't recall her leaving with me.
Or your best recollection is that you went together, but you don't want to tell us that. That's also a possibility.
Counsel, that's argumentative. Ask another question.
Now, I'd like to take you back to the date of October 31st. No, strike that. I'd like to take you back before that. I'd like to take you back to the day that you got the phone call that Mr. Kuriyama was asking you about from Erik. Okay? Recall what I'm talking about? The phone call to set up that appointment?
I recall the phone call, yes.
Did you set up that appointment, or was this somebody else, either your wife or your secretary or whoever is responsible for that?
I don't recall who set up the appointment. I recall Erik calling, and I recall me talking with Erik and the content of what Erik requested me to do, but I don't recall when the appointment was actually set up.
Well, was Erik calling to make an appointment?
Erik was calling to arrange for an appointment to be made.
Okay, and when a patient calls and talks to you and says, I want to come in and see you, then what happens to translate that into an appointment?
Generally speaking, what happens is that a secretary calls up and arranges a time to come in based upon my schedule and my availability.
Well, a secretary calls up because you tell the secretary to call up, is that right?
Generally, yes.
All right, so you talk to Erik, and then I take it you don't make the appointment, you tell him, well, my secretary will call you to make an appointment. Is that what happened?
I don't recall how the appointment was made.
Do you see it in the book in front of you?
Question is, does he see the appointment in the book?
Yes, Your Honor, he has the appointment book in
All
front
right,
of him.
that's not what you asked.
Yes, I see the names written in, and I don't know when they were written in.
Okay, so that appointment book is something that where entries can be made after the date of the appointment. Is that what you're saying?
If someone canceled and I told the secretary after the fact that I saw somebody at a particular time, yes. Sometimes, rarely, an appointment can be written in after I've seen somebody.
Did you carry your own personal little appointment book, or week at a glance, or month at a glance, so that you'd know when you're supposed to be in your office to see people?
I did that on a weekly basis.
So you had a weekly sheet of some kind.
That's correct.
Can you tell me what the entries are in your book, why all those names appear on Sunday? You didn't see patients on Sundays.
I don't have any idea what her system was for names on Sunday, and no, I think those may just be people who either wanted an appointment the next week or somebody who called for some reason, or just notes. I don't know what they reflect because I didn't make them.
Now, is that book relied upon to do the billing?
I don't know if this was the book to do the billing because I don't think I even recall having seen this at the time that it was seized.
You don't know?
I don't
Is that
know.
the answer? And you don't know what the system of billing was?
I know the system of billing was for me to report the amount of time that I spent with somebody if it wasn't scheduled by the secretary, but I don't know if this was in fact the book that was used.
Do you know if that list of names that appears on Sundays is the list of bills that need to go out?
No,
Or
I
the
do not
list
know
of-
that.
Or do you know if it's the list of patients for whom sessions are going to be billed that week?
No, I don't believe that that's what that list is. Doesn't make any sense that it would be.
Okay, now let's talk about the phone call from Erik. You seem to remember it. Do you not?
I think I remember the essential elements of the phone call, right.
Okay, and tell me, was Erik angry with you in that phone call?
No, he was not.
Did he threaten you in any way during that phone call?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you that he wanted to harm you during that phone call?
No, he did not.
And I think you said that he sounded very urgent.
That's correct.
Now let's talk about when Erik arrives on October 31st. Were you the only person still in your office suite at that time?
I believe I was. I know that I specifically had arranged for there to be no other therapists seeing any other patients later.
Well, I'm asking if you can remember.
I don't recall whether somebody else was in the office at that time. I don't know that I would have even known.
Do you remember what you were doing just before Erik arrived?
Well,
Do you remember?
I believe I would have been seeing the patient before.
Okay. Do you remember seeing that patient?
No, I don't remember I remember seeing the patient. I don't remember that specific session I had with the patient.
Do you remember seeing that patient leave?
Do I specifically remember seeing the patient before leave?
Yes.
I don't think that I specifically remember seeing that patient leave on that day.
Do you remember whether you walked that patient out that day?
No, I don't.
Do you believe you did see a patient immediately before Erik arrived?
Yes, I do.
So do you remember now what you were doing when you first became aware of the fact that Erik was there?
I think I was sitting in my office waiting for Erik to come.
Okay. And the way you'd know that someone had arrived was some light would go on, is that right?
Erik would have pressed the button, and the button would go on in my office that would alert me that he had in fact arrived.
Well, anybody arrives is supposed to press the button, correct?
That's correct.
That's how you know people have arrived. A light goes on because someone's pressed a button, correct?
That's correct.
Do you remember the light going on October 31st?
Yes, I do.
What time did the light go on?
Sometime around 4:15, something like that.
Did you check your watch so you could start the clock rolling?
No.
Now, when the light goes on, what do you have to do?
What I do is I open the door and go and open the door leading to the waiting room so that the patient can come in.
Okay. And you saw Erik there?
That's correct.
What was he wearing?
I don't recall.
He was, however, wearing clothes, correct?
He was wearing clothes.
And did you then return with him to your consulting room?
Yes, I did.
And did he then, you started this session with him in which he was telling you how he was feeling. Is that right?
That's correct.
And how long do you believe you stayed in your office talking to him before you left to take this walk?
I can't recall with certainty how long I spent with Erik in the actual session room before he indicated that he wanted to go take a walk.
Well, I didn't ask exactly. Can you give me an approximation? Was it 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 2 hours? Some idea.
It wasn't 5 minutes and it wasn't 2 hours.
So maybe it was an hour,
Could have been.
hour and a half?
It could have been.
And I think you've described his basic moods and demeanor from that period of time as depressed, is that right?
Yes, he was.
Lonely,
Yes,
isolated?
correct.
Beyond the scope.
Overall.
Was he crying during any part of this part of the session?
I'd have to refresh my memory by looking at my notes to see if he was specifically crying at this particular moment in the session.
Well, you didn't note in your notes times when people cried, did you?
Not always. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't.
Well, in these particular notes, you never noted a time when people were crying, and yet you've testified to Erik crying at
Okay,
various
counsel, now that's an argumentative question.
Take out
Re-ask
your
it,
notes.
please.
See if-
Counsel, re-ask the question.
Do you need your notes to see?
I don't recall Erik having cried at that point in the session.
Well, did you just say you'd need to check your notes?
I said to determine whether at that specific time I should check my notes because I don't recall it.
Go right ahead.
Okay. He was definitely agitated, definitely depressed, definitely upset. I don't recall if he was crying.
Was he sad?
Yes, he was.
Was he grieving?
I don't think I can state that he was grieving or not, but he was sad.
Did he tell you that since his parents had been killed and he was removed from his family, he felt lost?
Yes, he did.
Did he tell you he didn't know if he wanted to live or die?
Yes, he did.
And did you have some concerns about him being potentially suicidal?
I did have.
And did he tell you that because his family was no longer there, he had no structure, no order, no stability in his life, and so he was turning to tennis all the time to give him those things?
Yes, he did, Ms. Abramson.
Did he tell you that he was even wondering if he might need medication? He felt so badly.
The topic of medication came up with respect to his being depressed, yes.
And did he tell you he was having really vivid nightmare dreams?
Yes, he did.
Are you familiar with even the popular literature on post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yes, I am.
And
I don't know about the popular literature. I'm familiar with post-traumatic stress disorder.
okay, well, I didn't want to ask as based on just an expert. There's been a lot of popular
I see.
literature about it as well, correct?
I see.
And were these kinds of dreams in which he had vivid pictures of his dead parents, did they sound like the kinds of flashbacks and things that victims of post-traumatic stress disorder suffer from?
Objection. Can you do a question?
Objection is sustained. It's beyond the scope. Next question, please.
Excuse me, are beyond the scope of direct?
Yes.
Did he describe these vivid nightmares for you?
He described bits and pieces of them, yes.
Did he tell you that they were causing him to lose sleep?
I don't recall that part of it, but he definitely described that he was having vivid, frightening nightmares.
Then after some period of time of, I think you've approximated now, probably around an hour, you went out with him to take a walk, correct?
That's correct.
And when you walked outside, it was dark, wasn't it?
Best of my recollection, it was dark.
And in
Or getting
fact,
dark.
You put in your notes, it was dark on page 2, paragraph 2. Sentence 2.
It says it was dark.
Right, and it was, wasn't it?
The only way that I would know if it was dark is basically by what's stated in the notes. I think it got dark as we were walking and returned to the session. I don't think it was actually dark at the time that we left.
Let me read you the sentence. Page 2, paragraph 2, sentence 1. We proceeded to walk outside the office, period. It was dark, period. We then walked across the street, and Erik went into the bathroom at the Bagel Nosh restaurant and walked into the park with me, period. Now, plain meaning of that sentence, doesn't it give the plain impression that it was dark when you proceeded to walk outside the office?
Gives that impression. But I don't believe that it was dark when we walked out of the session.
So you dictated the notes in such a way as to give false impressions, is that right?
No, that's not right.
Now, you went to the park with Erik,
That's correct.
and did you walk around the park for a while?
We walked around and mostly we sat on a bench and talked.
Before you sat, do you recall what the conversation was about?
Well, in general, the conversation was about his father. In fact, that's what most of the conversation was from the time that we left the office until we returned to the front of the office building that I was occupying.
And this was a conversation about his father and how tragic it was that his father was killed before he could fulfill all his dreams, that conversation?
It was a lot more elaborate than that, but yes, that's the basic tenor of the conversation.
And wasn't it also the basic tenor of the conversation how lost Erik felt without his father?
I don't recall his saying so much that he felt lost without his father, but he definitely was talking about how great a man his father was, and how it was so unbelievable to him that his father had been cut down at a point in his life where he hadn't been able to achieve so many of the dreams and so many of the things that he might have been able to achieve had he been alive.
Did he indicate to you that he felt that was a tragic thing?
Yes, he did indicate that he thought it was a tragic thing.
At that point, when he was talking about his father, was he crying at all?
I don't recall if he was crying outside in the park. I know that he was very sad and that he looked very sad. I don't recall if I could actually see that he was crying. He might have been crying.
And how long would you say the walking, bagel noshing, sitting on the bench, walking back part took?
Well,
Approximately.
approximately. Hard, I'm just trying to estimate here and
Fine.
think.
Just estimate.
That's what I'm trying to do. Probably something like an hour and a half, something like that. I don't recall specifically.
Okay. And now you go back towards your office, and before you actually enter your office again, he tells you that he and Lyle did it, correct?
That's correct.
And then you go, now, when he tells you that he and Lyle did it, that causes you some concern, does it not?
That causes me more concern than I had already had, yes.
All right, but I mean, now you get real concerned, correct?
That's correct.
And did you have in mind even then that you wanted to have some sense of where Lyle was at?
No, not then.
All right. So then you go back upstairs to your office, and he begins to tell you what happened. Is that right?
That's correct.
Do you ask him what happened, or does he just start talking?
No, he just starts spilling out things. He had a real need to confess, to talk.
And it comes out very quickly, doesn't it? Very rushed?
He just started to, I don't recall how it came out. I just recall that he began revealing all the details.
Now, you say you don't recall how it came out. You don't recall if it's rushed or slow. You don't recall if he's crying or not. You don't recall anything?
No, I recall his manner of speech, and I can picture Erik sitting in the chair that he was sitting in, which was across from me, and I can recall him beginning to, relatively more quickly than he would usually speak, tell me all the details of what had transpired. And I do have a vivid picture of it.
And he gets it all out more rapidly than he usually spoke. Is that what you've said?
More rapidly than he usually spoke, yes.
Erik speaks quickly, doesn't he?
Section vague and ambiguous.
Sustained.
Is Erik a slow talker?
You're talking about now or then, or what are you talking about?
From your experience.
You're asking about during therapy or social conversation? Be more specific.
All right. Had you talked to him both during therapy and in social conversations?
I don't know that I'd really had any social conversations with Erik.
Well, you talked to him at the Bel Air Hotel as well as in your office, correct?
Those are professional consultations.
Fine. Either way, on the occasions when you talked to him, did he seem to be a slow-speaking person?
He didn't seem to be a particularly slow-speaking person, and he also didn't seem to be anyone who particularly spoke with pressured speech, which means a very sort of rapid speech.
So he was average.
I would say maybe he was average in terms of his speed of speech, but he was speaking this particular time in a way that was relatively more forced or more quickly than he usually did, than was his custom.
And you've already told us you didn't take any notes while he was speaking.
That's correct.
And you've already told us that he himself appeared to be confused about some of the details. Specifically, you've testified he seemed to be quite confused about who shot whom.
Well, that's definitely true. That he was confused, that there was a lot of chaos going on at the moment that the weapons were being fired. It's definitely true that he told me that.
And would you claim, or do you claim, Dr. Oziel, that sitting there with this person speaking rather rapidly and you not taking notes, are you claiming that you got every single detail down just right? Are you claiming that?
I would never claim I got every single detail down just right. I think that's an extreme statement, and no, I wouldn't make that statement.
And isn't it true, in fact, that, strike that, You have testified in response to certain questions from the prosecution in this case about these details as Erik gave them to you. You recall your testimony on direct that way. They asked you a
Yes.
question, did he tell you this, did he tell you this, did he
That's
tell you
correct.
this? All right. Now, I want to turn to that portion that where you testified that Erik told you at some point that after having a discussion with his brother about how much better their lives would be without their father, at that point, after they had concluded that discussion, they went to San Diego and bought guns. Now, is that what Erik told you?
Yes, that is what Erik told me.
And based on the notes that you have in front of you and that I have in front of me, the way you have related that sequence, there is no time between the discussion about how awful their father is and that they should kill him, and they're going to San Diego. There's no break. Isn't that true?
Are you asking me whether the notes specify the time or whether I remember the time?
No, I'm asking you that don't the notes give the impression that there is no break between the discussion and then going off at that point, I think were the words you used, to drive to San Diego, obtain false identification, purchase 2 shotguns, etc., etc.
I don't know what impression the notes give.
Well, let's read it.
No, I'm reading what I've written.
The notes, well, let me...
That wasn't what I intended in writing it. Let me just state it that way.
All right, fine. You testified here that the purchase of the shotguns was, you believe, 1 week before the killing, correct?
I believe that I testified it was a minimum of a week, but I think I also have testified that it could have been as much as 3 weeks or more, but it was a minimum of a week, and that I'm absolutely certain of.
You're absolutely certain that the purchase of the shotguns was a minimum?
No. I'm sorry. Not the purchase of the shotguns was an absolute minimum.
Why don't you listen to the question? Let me do this, okay?
Okay.
We'll get out of here much sooner. Did you testify here that the purchase of the shotguns was 1 week before the killings? That's all I'm asking.
This states the testimony.
Sustain.
Well, you're in the house.
Why don't you read it to him?
Testimony.
Read the question and the answer.
All right. 61. Let me get you the exact page. Starting at 9355. Let's start with just the sentence on page 1, on line 1. And then it goes through again to 9356.
Can we leave them alone, please?
Does the court want the cites?
Sorry?
I'm sorry, would the court like the cites?
Unless there's a dispute, I don't need it. No. All right, have you finished reading it, Mr. Carrillo?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I would like to read you the following testimony. This is from (9355), starting with line 1, the first whole sentence. This is your answer to a question. So they had agreed that they would commit the murder, and they were negotiating how soon to do it. After that point, what they did, and I believe to the best of my recollection, it was something like a week or so before the murder. Question, wait, hold it right there. This discussion about planning the murder occurred 1 week before the actual murder? Answer, that's the best of my recollection. Question, approximately? Answer, something like that. Then there's a objected to question, and now we go back to line 26. Question. This discussion that Erik Menendez related to you that he was having with his brother Lyle about planning the murders of their parents, is it your understanding that this discussion, by what Erik Menendez told you, occurred about a week before the actual killings? Answer. It's my understanding that it occurred at least a week before, based upon my recollection. At that point, what they did, according to Erik, was drive to San Diego, etc., etc. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Now, you're testifying, are you not, that at the point that they're having this discussion, or at the point that they have this discussion about planning, etc., they then drive to San Diego and buy guns, right?
No.
No. How long before the parents are killed, if you know, did Erik say they bought the guns?
I don't recall that, but I do recall when...
But I'm asking you that. If you don't recall it, is that your answer?
I don't recall. He just told me that they...
There's no question.
Yes, the answer was you don't recall.
Okay. Sorry, Your Honor.
Now, there is... let me read you page 3, paragraph 2. Okay? I asked you before, didn't you write these notes in such a way that it looked like the discussion led directly into the purchase of the guns, which led directly into the shooting? That's how you wrote these notes, didn't you?
That's a compound question. Ask it again, please.
Did you write these notes in such a way that you are indicating there's a discussion between Erik and Lyle? There is negotiating because Lyle wants to wait a week and Erik says he cannot. There is a decision, therefore, at that point, to go to San Diego and buy guns, which they do. And then they come back and kill their parents. Isn't that the way you wrote it?
No.
Well, then let me read this to you. Page 3, paragraph 2. At that point, apparently, or at one point, Lyle simply turned to Erik and said, well, do you have the emotional ability to do this? Erik said he realized at that moment that they were making a clear decision to engage in the murder, and he told his brother yes, that it had to be soon, and it could not be delayed. Lyle apparently wanted to wait a week to plan it out more thoroughly. Erik decided that he didn't have the emotional ability to wait. Apparently what the two sons did at that point was to drive to San Diego, obtain some false identification, purchase 2 shotguns with the false identification, drive back to Los Angeles, etc., etc. Isn't that what you dictated?
Yes, that is what I dictated.
And didn't you testify before the grand jury a year ago that you were very fuzzy about the timing?
I believe I said I was fuzzy on the exact timing of what the time period was between the plan and the actual murder, and I think I gave a span of time.
Didn't it? But the question was, did you testify you were fuzzy about the time sequence?
No, I believe I testified that I was
Is your answer no?
No.
Did you testify before the grand jury in December 7th, 1992, that you had no clear recollection of the timing as described to you by Erik?
I don't recall whether I testified in that manner or not.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you a question and answer that you gave at page 351 of the grand jury transcript?
It probably would.
Yes.
It's right here.
Did you read this to yourself?
I just did.
Let me, just to make sure you're clear on my question. Were you also asked before the grand jury the question about whether Lyle wanted to wait a week? Do you recall being asked that?
Yes, I do recall that.
And do you recall at that time saying, to the best of your recollection, Lyle wanted to wait, I think, a week to plan it further? I don't recall whether it was a week exactly, but that is to the best of my recollection. Recall that?
I recall having testified that way, I believe.
Okay. And do you recall being asked your impression was 7 days approximately, and you said, uh-huh?
I don't recall that, but sounds consistent.
And do you recall being asked, and Erik indicated he didn't want to wait that period of time, and you answered yes. I believe it was a week in relationship to planning it more thoroughly, moving ahead with it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember, without respect to whether I remember that testimony, that Erik definitely
No, I'm asking
didn't want to
about
wait.
your testimony.
Okay, I don't recall that specific testimony.
And then you recall being asked, do you have any clear recollection on the timing, and you said no. Correct?
That's not the sequencing in the transcript you showed me, but at some point that was in fact asked me, but not in the sequence that you're describing.
Now, what is your best recollection now of the period of time between when Erik and Lyle are discussing this and the time when they buy the guns? If you have such a time period.
I think that you're asking a question that's too vague for me to know what you're talking about. Could you ask me a clearer question?
You said they had a discussion and they made something of a decision. I've just read that to you from your notes, correct?
That's correct.
And how long after they make that decision do they go and buy the guns, if you know?
I do not know how long it was from the time that they watched this show.
I haven't asked you about the show. I'm
Okay.
asking about the discussion.
Well, the discussion was linked in some, there was an ongoing discussion, but it didn't take place at one point in time, Ms. Abramson.
But you said there was a time, and you said this on direct, and Mr. Kuriyama asked you, was there a time when they were negotiating whether to wait a week or not?
Yes, but that negotiation didn't take place at one moment in time. It was an ongoing negotiation.
So for a period of many, many weeks, they were negotiating whether to wait a week. Is that what you're
Objection,
saying?
argumentative.
Objection sustained. Re-ask the question, please.
Are you saying that they argued about waiting a week over a period of longer than a week?
No, I didn't state that, Ms.
All right, then
Abramson.
let's talk about when the discussion about waiting a week took place with respect to the purchase of the guns. When did that discussion take place?
I don't recall and don't know that Erik ever specifically told me what the time frame was, or the interval between the discussion about waiting a week and between the actual purchase of the guns. So I could not testify with any specificity about the interval between the final decision to go ahead with the actual murder and the time that they actually bought the guns.
Fine. Now, can you tell us then, can you answer the question about how much time passed between their buying the guns and the shootings, if you know?
I do not know, or I did not know at that time anyway, what the time period was.
So when you testified here that the discussion occurred a week before the killings, you were in error. Is that correct?
Let's be specific about, see, I think the problem is you're asking me about discussions, and they had a lot of
Do
discussions.
you not understand the question?
I think you haven't asked me a specific enough question for me to be able to testify with accuracy.
Do you not understand what I'm asking you about?
Why don't you just ask another question?
All right. Let me read to you your testimony starting on 9354. Same volume. 61. 9354, starting with line 19. Now, here's what you testified to on Wednesday, August 4th, 1993. Okay, well, Erik relayed to me at the point that he and Lyle had discussed planning the murder that Erik felt a need to commit the murder relatively quickly, or he basically thought that he would lose the emotional ability to commit the act. Lyle, according to Erik's recounting, wanted to take some time to plan it out more effectively, to make sure that it was as perfect as could be. And Erik just didn't feel that he could, it's a word missing, point that. So they had agreed that they would commit the murder, and they were negotiating how soon to do it. After that point, what they did, and I believe to the best of my recollection, it was something like a week or so before the murder. And Mr. Kuriyama interrupts and says, wait, hold it right there. This discussion about planning the murder occurred 1 week before the actual murder? Answer, that's the best of my recollection. Question, approximately? Answer, something like that. Question, okay. Answer, what they did at that point, I should clarify, it could have been a week. Then there's some objections. And Mr. Kuriyama asks you, 26, this discussion that Erik Menendez related to you that he was having with his brother Lyle about planning the murders of their parents, is it your understanding that that discussion, by what Erik Menendez told you, occurred about a week before the actual killings? Answer, it is my understanding that it occurred at least a week before, based upon my recollection. At that point, what they did, according to Erik, was drive to San Diego, etc., etc. Remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Dr. Oziel, you were certainly interested, if nothing else, when you heard that the Menendezes were killed, correct? Definitely got your attention.
I wouldn't state it that way. I would say that,
Well,
of course,
you-
I was interested. I cared about Erik and Lyle, and of course I would have been interested.
All right, you were interested. And you knew, did you not, because you heard it from the media, that the killing of these people was receiving media attention, correct?
I don't think that was anything that I was focused on at all, but,
I didn't ask if you were focused. I asked, did you know?
well,
was
it was on television, so I knew it was on television.
All right, objection is overruled.
It was on television. It was in the newspapers, wasn't it?
Yes, it was in the newspapers.
It was on hard copy, wasn't it?
I didn't watch hard copy.
Were you sufficiently interested, since you knew these people, to read the newspaper accounts?
I seem to recall having read the newspaper account, and I definitely was informed the day that the murder was announced on television. So, yes, I knew about it.
And do you recall seeing a lengthy piece about this case, about the parents, not about the arrest of the boys? Do you recall seeing a lengthy piece in the Los Angeles Times Sunday magazine in October of 1989?
I don't really recall that.
You don't recall ever seeing that piece?
Well, I think there was a piece, but I don't recall anything particularly. I really don't read very much about this.
So you didn't read about this even though you knew all the people involved, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I don't recall having read that.
Do you recall reading the ordinary news stories about the investigation of this homicide during the months of August, September, and October of 1989?
I don't recall my focusing a lot of time on reading any particular articles. I'm sure I did, if I saw an article on the Menendez case, read it. I just don't remember how many articles I saw on the Menendez situation.
And do you recall reading in the early parts of the, in the early stages of the investigation, do you recall reading in the newspaper that all the casings were picked up at the scene? There were no shot shell casings left behind by whoever did the shooting.
I don't know that I recall that. I don't recall it.
And do you recall there being in the publicity mention of the fact that it was the sons coming home that reported the killings to the police?
I don't recall that, but I think
Is
that
your
I had...
answer no, you don't
No, I don't
recall?
recall it. I don't recall it from the newspaper, no.
Fine. Now let's turn to October 31st, before Lyle gets there. And I want to turn your attention to page 5, paragraph 2. Now, you testified on direct, I believe, that Erik told you on October 31st that he was beginning to have difficulty with the fact that he might be inheriting a great deal of money. Is that what your statement was?
Yes, that is.
In your notes, however, you wrote, Erik had more and more difficulty dealing with the fact that they were going to be inheriting a great deal of money. Correct?
That's correct.
In fact, what he's telling you is that he's had difficulty about that from the very beginning.
Objection, misstates the testimony.
Sustained.
Well, isn't that what he's telling you there?
What is the question?
Yes.
Isn't the question not that he's just beginning to have difficulty, but he's having increasing difficulty, so the difficulty precedes the present tense when he's telling you this?
I don't know. My feeling at the time was that Erik was having a lot of difficulty with the issue of the inheritance of money. I don't know if he stated anything to me that related to how soon in time he began to have those feelings of guilt. But he definitely was having a lot of trouble with that.
Go right ahead, don't mind my band.
Yes.
With that aspect, is that correct?
Yes, he was having a lot of trouble with that.
The notion of getting money.
That's correct.
And didn't he emphasize to you that the killing wasn't for the money?
Is that the end of the question?
Yeah?
Oh, okay. Yes, he did.
And didn't he even think that there might have been a recent will in which they were disinherited, or at least he was disinherited?
Yes, I think that he was making the point very clearly at this point in the session that not only was the money something that he was feeling extremely guilty about, but he thought that he might have been disinherited in any event.
Before the killing, he thought he was disinherited. That's what he told you, isn't it?
Well,
Is that what you're saying right now?
my recollection is that he definitely, before the killing, thought there might have been a will in which he was disinherited.
Okay. Now, this appears, what you just testified to about his emphasizing it wasn't for the money, that he thought there might be a recent will. This appears right in your notes on page 5, paragraph 2, correct?
Yes, it does.
Now, you did understand, as of October 31st, 1989, did you not, Dr. Oziel, that Erik didn't have the $15 million yet?
Yes, I understood that he didn't have $15 million.
And you also knew that he'd have, at best, half of that.
Well, I wasn't even thinking in terms of how much he would or he wouldn't have, frankly.
And he also told you, did he not, that the $15 million was an initial estimate of whoever was in charge of estimating the estate?
He went through some discussion of how he got to the figure of $15 million.
Well, he told you there was a lawyer for the estate and other advisors, and that's what they're telling him, right?
He told me some other things as well that related to life insurance policies and key man insurance and so on and so forth that added up the amount of money.
Do you think the key man life insurance pays to a family? Is that what he told you?
I don't have any idea what key man life insurance does or doesn't, but I do recall Erik having spoken specifically about different aspects of how they got how we came up with the $15 million figure. But
Okay.
I don't have any idea what key man insurance does and doesn't do.
Well, didn't you read about that in the newspapers also, about this huge insurance policy that the company had, that they got?
No, actually, I don't recall having read that in the paper. I recall very specifically Erik
So your
detailing
answer is
that.
no, you didn't
Objection,
read
Your
it.
Honor.
Is that correct?
Yeah, had you finished the answer?
I don't know, she.
Let's have the reporter read it back.
The answer, Your Honor?
Yes.
Answer, no, actually, I don't recall having read that in the newspaper.
That was responsible.
Was that your answer?
That was part of my answer.
Okay.
Did you want me to complete the answer?
No, we can get
Well, I would
another
object to
question.
anything else, Your Honor. That was responsive to the
Counsel,
question.
your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, after discussing this, the business about money and disinheritance, did Erik then, or did you and Erik engage in some kind of discussion about potential evidence?
I recall Erik having told me about the potential evidence, but I thought it was prior to.
Well, why don't you look at page 6?
Oh, yes, okay.
Right.
Well, there was a discussion both prior to and subsequent to this. There was also one on page 5.
Let me ask you something. We're now at page 6 of these notes, and the section of these notes that has to do with Erik going into your office and then starting to tell you the details, that begins at the very bottom of page 2. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Let me take a look. Yes, it begins at the bottom of page 2.
Okay, and now we're at page 6, and there's a discussion here about fingerprints and weapons, et cetera, correct?
That's correct.
At any time during this discussion, are you saying anything to Erik, or is this still, he's just spilling it all out?
No, I'm talking with Erik or asking him, what he was feeling or what happened or whatever at different points throughout this time.
So it's a conversation.
Well, it's a therapeutic conversation.
But it's you're talking and he's talking, correct?
That's correct.
Now, after he has this discussion with you then about lack of fingerprints, no witnesses, all of that, did you form the opinion or come to the conclusion that after this discussion about lack of evidence, did you conclude that they, meaning Erik and Lyle, had basically a perfect situation where no one would discover them? The only weakness would be if someone knew information that both Lyle, Erik and I, or anyone else for that matter, who had the information would be in danger. Did you conclude that it was perfect and the only weakness was if someone like yourself knew?
Erik concluded that previously.
Calling court and counsel's attention to transcript of June 15th, 1990, page 36. I propose to read, well, I can start with 21 and just keep going.
No, this was read in cross-examination.
No, it was stopped
Previously.
because,
All right,
Of an objection.
counsel, if you want to approach, we'll discuss it.
When you approach.
well, can I have volume 65?
That's where you were.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, let me read you an answer you gave in June of 1990, page 36. Well, before I
Why
called...
don't you read the
Li-
question as well?
All right, question. And when did there occur what you perceived to be a direct threat? Answer. Well, before I called Lyle, Erik made the statement that if Lyle knew that anyone had information about this, I concluded that they had basically a perfect situation where no one would discover them. The only weakness would be if someone knew information that both Lyle, Erik and I, or anyone else for that matter, who had the information would be in danger. So I felt in danger, absolutely, the moment Erik told me of the events that occurred. Remember that testimony in June of 1990?
No, but that's not inconsistent with what I'm stating today.
Well, would you let us decide what's inconsistent for a change?
Okay?
All right, let's not argue with the
Now,
witness.
let me, I think I had previously, before I was stopped by my co-counsel, back last Friday, I think I had previously asked you to look through your notes of October 31st and see if you could find anywhere in those notes, prior to the time that Lyle arrived, whether Erik ever used the expression perfect murder. Do you remember my asking you to do that?
Yes, I remember that you did.
And do you remember that you did look through the notes and there was no indication in the notes that Erik ever used the phrase perfect on October 31st before Lyle arrived, correct?
Incorrect.
Incorrect? All right, show me where it is.
No. Incorrect that it wasn't mentioned. Correct that it's not specified in the notes.
So another one of those things that 4 years later you just happened to remember, but you left it out of the notes. Is that correct?
No, that wouldn't be an accurate statement of it at all. It was repeated regularly, and the reason I recall it is because it was regularly repeated.
Regularly repeated by Erik before Lyle got there, but not worth a single entry. Is that what you're saying?
I think I've testified numerous times that these dictated notes were not intended to be an entire complete record of all 8 hours that I had with Erik and Lyle Menendez over those 2 days.
Dr. Oziel, is there any place in these notes of October 31st, before Lyle arrives, where Erik uses the word perfect, according to these notes, anywhere?
No, not in those notes.
Thank you. But you, in your mind, decided it was perfect, didn't you?
Argumentative.
Objection sustained. Counsel is arguing with the witness.
Did you decide in your own mind that it was a perfect situation and the only weakness would be somebody knowing? Did you decide that, as I've just read to you?
At some point, it seemed reasonable that what Erik was characterizing as being a perfect murder did indeed seem to be a perfect murder based upon what he relayed to me about the lack of any evidence or anything to tie either he or Lyle to the crime.
Is that yes? You concluded it was perfect in your mind as well? Is that what you're saying?
Based upon what Erik told me at some point, I concluded that it seemed to be a quote-unquote perfect murder.
And that's before Lyle got there that you concluded that. Is that correct?
I can't specify the exact point in time when I concluded that.
Well, when I read you from June 15th, 1990, do you think perhaps your memory back in 1990 of when you concluded that was better than your memory now of when you concluded that?
I don't know, without you repeating the statement, whether my memory is better now or then, and
Is your
I'd need
answer,
you to-
I don't know?
I don't know.
Well, let me read it to you again.
That's fine.
Well, this is page 36, line 21. Well, before I called Lyle, Erik made the statement that if Lyle knew that anyone had information about this, I concluded that they had basically a perfect situation. You want me to keep reading, or does that refresh your memory again?
No, but that was after Erik had already described to me very elaborately why it was a perfect murder.
Was this before you called Lyle? That was my question.
Yes, at some point before I called Lyle.
Thank you. Now, can you tell me before you called Lyle, what words of threat did Erik use against you?
Erik used no words of threat against me before I called Lyle.
And what words of threat did Erik use against you after you called Lyle but before Lyle arrived?
Erik used no words of threat throughout the entire 1031 session. He did not threaten me specifically.
He didn't threaten you unspecifically either, did he?
No, I did not feel threatened by Erik in the 1031 session.
And yet, you told Judalon Smith the things that Erik had told you, didn't you?
I told her the things that Erik and Lyle had told me because
I didn't ask you why. The question is, Erik didn't threaten you, and yet you told his confidential communications to your girlfriend, correct? Is that right?
You're not letting me answer, Ms. Abramson.
I'm asking you to answer the question.
You're
I'm
not-
asking
you're not allowing me to
let
answer
you
it.
explain.
You're not
Okay,
allowing me to
number
answer.
one, ask the question again in a non-argumentative fashion.
All right, first of all, it's true, is it not, Erik didn't threaten you at all on October 31st, correct?
It's
We've been
tr-
through that, so ask
All right.
the question.
Isn't it further true that you told Judalon Smith things that Erik told you confidentially on October 31st?
Yes, it is true. Well, no, I don't perceive that they were confidential because of the threat.
Well, but he told you things before there ever was a threat. Surely he understood they were confidential at that point, so did you.
Counsel, is that your testimony at this point?
At the time...
Counsel, do you want to withdraw that question and ask another one?
Yes, I am asking another one. I
Okay,
assumed that
you
the court
want
was
to
objecting.
honor the court's objection, and you
course.
want to honor the court's ruling, and you want to ask another question.
Yes.
Okay, ask it again.
Okay.
Another question.
Now I've forgotten what it was.
That's probably good. Go on to something else.
So, okay, you're going to have to give me a minute. At the time when Erik is telling you these things, is there anything that's happened between the two of you that you've communicated to him that would lead him to believe that when he's talking to you alone, that these are not confidential communications?
Not that I'm aware.
So what he's telling you are secrets at this point, are they not? At the point when he's telling you?
Objection vague as to at which point she's speaking about.
Sustained.
Before Lyle ever gets there, before there's ever a threat, everything that Erik's telling you is part of the therapeutic relationship, is it not?
I think that he perceived that, yes.
Well, if you perceived it any differently, you certainly didn't tell him anything to the effect that it wasn't confidential before Lyle got there, did you?
Sustained.
Did you tell him that it wasn't confidential before Lyle got there?
No, I didn't.
So what happened is Lyle gets there and he threatens you, and that blows Erik's confidentiality. Is that what happened?
Objection misstates the testimony.
Sustained.
Well, Lyle gets there. Erik doesn't threaten you on October 31st, correct?
Erik didn't verbally threaten me on October 31st.
Erik didn't threaten you in any way on October 31st, did he?
The fact that Erik and Lyle were sitting and talking in the Jeep, and Lyle was telling me that what he was going to do, basically, was to talk about, or implying to me very strongly that he was going to be talking about killing me, and he was talking with Erik about it, definitely led me to believe that Erik and Lyle were sitting in the Jeep talking about killing me, which in fact they were.
Well, you didn't know that on October 31st. They didn't tell you that to November 2nd. Isn't that true?
It's true I didn't know it for a fact, but I clearly must have been correct about what I was perceiving, because that's exactly what they were doing.
Well, that's because you're a very smart person. Isn't that right, Doctor?
Counsel, let's not argue with the
Let's
witness.
get back to October 31st. Erik runs out of the session when Lyle is threatening in tears, doesn't he?
He had his head in his hands.
And he was crying.
I believe he was crying at the moment.
You've
he walked out.
testified twice before he was crying.
I said I believe he was crying.
Right. He cries and runs out because his brother is angry and upset, correct?
His brother was, I wouldn't characterize him as only being angry and upset.
Well, at least he was angry and upset.
That would not be a complete statement, but yes, he was probably angry and upset in addition to a lot of other things.
And Erik runs out of the room in reaction to his brother being angry and upset, and any number of other things you may ascribe to him, okay?
Okay.
Then he doesn't threaten you on his way out of the room, does he?
Who is he?
Erik.
No, Erik didn't threaten me.
And you go downstairs later, and Eric's sitting in the Jeep, and you have some further brief conversation with Lyle, correct?
That's correct.
And then you go back in your office, and you don't see them again that night, correct?
No, that's not correct.
When did you see them again?
Well, I saw them sitting in the Jeep.
From where?
The best of my recollection, I may have seen them sitting in the Jeep from my office.
You may have. In fact, you were asked about that and said you had no recollection of looking out the window or looking down or seeing them in the Jeep. Wasn't that your testimony?
I don't recall. I said I may have seen them in the Jeep.
Well, did you or didn't you?
I don't recall.
So if you don't recall that you saw them in the Jeep, then you can't recall, can you, that you thought they were sitting there talking?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
If you didn't see them, how did you know they were sitting there talking?
I knew that wherever they were, based upon what Lyle had just said to me, he had basically told me that he was going to go off to discuss murdering me with his brother. And he
Oh,
didn't.
wait a minute. You're saying he told you, that's the first time you've ever said that.
Counsel, again, would you look at me and answer my question? Is there some
Yes.
reason why you have to recite things that are not in the form of a question to the witness?
Well, maybe because I'll get a more accurate answer that way, Your Honor.
All right, well, then you will be foreclosed from asking questions if you can't ask them in a lawyer-like way, in a professional way. So if you want to continue asking questions, do so in a non-argumentative fashion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Oziel, did you ever state to anyone before that Lyle said, I'm going to go down and talk to my brother about murdering you? Did you ever use those words ever before?
I communicated that content, but I stated that he did not use those words, and he did not say, I'm going to go downstairs and talk to my brother about murdering you. But the words he used basically communicated the same concept.
To you. Is that right?
Clearly to me, it wasn't anyone else who was receiving it.
This was your impression.
It was my very strong belief, which turned out to be correct.
Well, whatever it turned out to be, that depends on us believing you as well, does it not?
Objection argumentative.
Objection sustained.
I'll withdraw. On November 2nd, you claim in your notes and in your testimony that the boys told you about a discussion they had and laughing about it in the Jeep. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. So in order for you to be right, you have to be telling the truth, both about October 31st and November 2nd, correct?
Objection argumentative.
Objection sustained.
There was no one else who heard this conversation on November 2nd, was there?
No, there wasn't.
There was no one else, according to you, who heard the conversation of October 31st, correct?
No, there wasn't. I disclosed the contents of it, but there was no one else who heard it, to the best of my knowledge.
Now, according to your notes, page 7, the only thing you ascribe to Lyle, and this is the last clause of the first paragraph. And this is something Lyle says to you after Erik stomps out of the room, I believe is how you characterize it. Okay? Now, do you see the last clause? Lyle said that he was going to go get his little brother and talk with his little brother. Do you see that? The last clause.
I see the clause, counsel, but it's absolutely not true that that's the only thing he said to me at all. There's
But it is
a full
absolutely-
page of this that he said to me.
All right, but I'm talking about what he said about going to talk to his brother. You said, he said that he said
Okay,
he was gonna-
counsel, now you are arguing again, and if you want to continue any questioning, you'll have to pursue it in a non-argumentative fashion.
I'd like a brief recess, Your Honor, and then I can be more patient.
No, you'll have to proceed
Well,
right
I'd like
now.
to approach.
You're going to have to ask your question now, counsel. In a
I'm physically
non-argumentative fashion.
uncomfortable. I'm physically uncomfortable. I'm asking for a brief recess.
All right, how long did you expect the examination to be? You said you had about 3 or 4 questions when you were up at the sidebar.
Yes?
And how long do you expect the examination to be?
About 5 minutes, if I can get answers.
All right, 5 minutes with or without answers, you're going to be finished with this witness. So we'll take a recess, ladies and gentlemen. We'll resume at 15 minutes to the hour, and which time we'll resume for a brief further cross-examination. Then the people have an opportunity for a direct examination, then we'll complete with this witness. All right, your next question, please.
Was it your belief, Dr. Oziel, on October 31st that Erik and Lyle left together in the Jeep?
Yes, it was.
How did Lyle get there?
He walked
He walked.
to the Jeep.
No, how did he get to your office?
Oh, I have no idea how Lyle got to the office.
Was your belief, was it not, that the Jeep belonged to Erik?
Yes, it was.
And it was your understanding that Erik got to your office somehow around 4-something,
That's correct.
and Lyle got there around what time?
Significantly later.
Okay. So did you think at all that night that Lyle had to have had another way of getting to your office?
You know what, Miss Abramson, I really didn't.
Okay. You were pretty upset at the point when they left, is that correct?
That's correct.
And would it be fair to say that perhaps you weren't doing your most clear thinking at that point?
I would say at that moment I was definitely not doing my most clear thinking.
Okay. Now let's go to November 2nd, towards the end of that session, and to guide you, would you look at page 16? At the end of the session of, well, strike that. Based on the communication that was going on and what you were observing between Lyle and Erik on November 2nd, did it appear to you that Lyle was very protective of Erik and concerned about the fact that Erik had told you?
Yes, that's correct.
And had Lyle made it clear to you that he would want to be regularly involved with Erik's therapy with you?
That's also correct.
And did the impression you get was that Lyle wanted to make certain that his brother did not disclose any further events to you or details to you that Lyle didn't want him to disclose?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did you have a sense, based on the way the conversation was going, that Lyle wanted to control or was trying to control the information?
Objection
calls for
is sustained.
speculation.
Did Lyle say anything about his wanting to control information?
I don't recall any specific things he said.
Did he interrupt when Erik, but he looked uneasy when Erik would talk about specifics?
That's correct.
Did you detect, as just comparing these two sessions, October 31st when you're alone with Erik, and November 2nd when you're not alone, when it's you and Lyle and Erik, was there any difference in the way Erik talked to you? Was he as open? Was he less open? Can you tell us?
He was less open when he was with Lyle.
Now, you've testified, I believe, that before Lyle arrived, Erik said that he was afraid of his brother knowing that he, Erik, had told you about the killings of the parents, correct?
That's correct.
And ask you a two-part question. Did he express that he was, first of all, afraid that Lyle would be very angry with him?
Yes, he did.
And second of all, did he make the statement, Lyle will kill me?
That's correct.
And because of the way the statement was made, were you clear on whether he really thought Lyle would kill him or whether that he was using that as a figure of speech?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Well, was there anything in the tone or in his look or in his demeanor that convinced you that he believed or was saying that he thought his brother would actually kill him at that point?
Compound question. Objection sustained.
You put in your notes some reference to that remark by Erik, did you not?
Yes, I did.
You couldn't tell, could you, from the way that he said, strike this, from the way that Erik said, with reference to Lyle, he'll kill me, you couldn't tell if he was being serious or not, could you?
I couldn't be certain that he was being serious, but my inclination was to believe based upon what he had already told me, the tone of his voice,
Objection
and
is speculation.
Objection sustained. The entire answer is stricken.
Did you ask him if he was being serious or if he was just using a figure of speech?
no, I didn't.
Now, is it true that when Lyle came, he expressed anger towards Erik for Erik having told you?
Yes, he did.
And he expressed the fact that he was upset that Erik would tell you without clearing it with him first. Correct?
Among other things, yes, he stated that.
And was Erik making, when Lyle was there and was upset and was saying these things, was Erik saying anything to Lyle to justify himself? In other words, I had to tell him, or I wanted to tell him, or no, it's okay that I told him, or anything like that?
He did initially make some statements about I had to tell him things of that nature, but after the initial protestations by Erik, Lyle continued to get more and more upset and more menacing, and at some point, pretty quickly after he began to object, Lyle just took over and pretty much began making the menacing statements. And from that point on, Erik didn't state anything much else.
But Erik basically was quiet and just got in what appeared to you to be increasingly more distraught and upset.
He got more and more upset as Lyle got more and more menacing. And then at some point he just was very upset, had his head in his hands. I remember that image vividly, and he bolted out of the room.
And you didn't have any further conversation with Erik that night, correct?
I had no further conversation with Erik.
Except perhaps there was some conversation about arranging for the next session, you're not sure?
No, I didn't have any further conversation with Erik at all.
Okay. Now, you testified that both, on November 2nd, both Lyle and Erik commented frequently on how perfect the appearance of their family was to the outside world. Do you remember that?
All right,
Yes, I
that's
do.
been gone into, it's been asked and answered, the answer is stricken.
I haven't asked it, Jerome.
It's been an area that you could have inquired on during your cross-examination of the witness. This is regarding the conversations that took place when the Erik Menendez jury was in the courtroom and during that direct examination. That's a subject of this cross-examination.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Well, let me skip that to the next thing. Did, at the end of the session of November 2nd, both Erik and Lyle still appear to be very confused about whether their family was a successful family or failure, a family to emulate, a sick family? Did they seem really confused about that?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Well, did they say things? Did they continue to talk about the family?
This is the November 2nd session.
Yes, Your Honor.
Both defendants present. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, Your Honor, but I have not
All right.
cross-examined on this.
Well, you could have. Objection is sustained.
Well, may I
The court
approach?
sustains the court's own objection as to being asked and answered in an area that was covered prior.
I'd like to make a record.
Okay, you may do that.
May we approach that?
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's been reported that this will be the last question by Ms. Abramson.
Much to the court's thrill. Okay. Dr. Oziel, up to the end of the November 2nd session, did both Erik and Lyle continue to talk about the family as being a successful family?
They continued to talk about it as being a successful family and also talked about it as being a family that was a sham. They stated two very conflicting things about the family.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Your own. Dr. Oziel, would it be fair to say that on October 31st, 1989, Erik Menendez was feeling guilty about what he had done?
Yes, that's
In fact-
absolutely true.
In fact, looking at page 5 of your notes, did he tell you that the guilt was overwhelming, that he had to come in and tell you?
Yes,
Further, that he felt depressed?
yes,
And directing your attention to page 2, he began to talk about how he and his brother had planned the murders. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Counsel referred to a paragraph.
Yes.
It's the last paragraph, page 2. Dr. Oziel, in your notes, do you indicate...
Object to that, Your Honor. Let's see. The reference in this.
All right, did you ask the question as a quotation, Mr. Kuriyama, or
No, just as a summary
paraphrase?
of how the conversation began about the planning of the murders.
All right, what was your question then?
The question is, Dr. Oziel, on page 2, the last paragraph, is that where you relate where and how Erik Menendez starts to explain to you how he and his brother had planned to kill their parents?
That's where the beginning of that discussion takes place.
Dr. Oziel, would you describe what it was that Erik Menendez first told you about how the planning, how the idea of killing their parents first began?
Objection, Your Honor, beyond the scope.
Let's have the question read back, please.
Question, Dr. Oziel, would you describe what it was that Erik Menendez first told you about how the planning, how the idea of killing your parents first began?
Overruled.
Well, Your Honor, I'd like to question this.
No, overruled.
You may answer, Dr. Oziel.
Eric told me that the discussions began with Eric watching a movie on the BBC that related to a theme that someone in the movie had a similar relationship with his father, or whatever, and apparently killed the father in the movie. And somewhere in the midst of that movie, Eric called Lyle in, and Eric related, as I recall, that sort of a casual conversation to begin with, where the conversation was something like, well, I wonder what it would be like if, the person who did all this in our life was, gotten rid of, or wasn't here anymore, or eliminated, or wasn't around anymore. And that is how the initial discussion of planning to kill the parents began. But
All right, you've answered the
I'm sorry.
question. Your next question, please.
With respect to this movie that Eric said that he watched, that Lyle later came in to watch, what in particular did he say about the movie by way of identification of the particular movie?
Your Honor, I would object again as beyond the scope of the post.
Overruled.
He just said it was on the BBC.
When he said it was on the BBC, what sense did you make out of that? What did that indicate to you?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Are you familiar with...
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like to approach. I think I know where counsel's trying to go with it.
Well, if you're asking about any particular programs on BBC, objection is sustained.
I'm just asking what Dr. Oziel understood BBC to mean. That is, what are the initials?
Well, why don't you ask the witness whether that was the way it was referred to in the conversation.
Specifically, Dr. Oziel, did Erik Menendez use the initials BBC?
Yes, he did.
And what did you understand that to be?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Are you familiar with the British...
Objection, Your Honor, if counsel's now going to suggest something.
All right, I haven't heard the question yet.
Well,
You may ask the question.
Is it your understanding that BBC stands for the British Broadcasting Company.
Objection, Your Honor, what the witness's understanding is.
Objection sustained. It is irrelevant. Mr. Kurama, you may go on to your next question, please.
Now, the similarity between this father on this BBC show and Erik Menendez's father, according to Erik, did he indicate to you any specifics about the similarities?
Objection beyond the scope of clause.
Overruled.
Yes, he said that the father in the show was very similar to their father, and he didn't get into a lot of elaborate detail about how they were similar, but he said that apparently a character in this movie killed his father, and that's when he called Lyle in to make Lyle aware of what the plot was, and it was in this movie, apparently, while it was going on, that they began talking about what would happen if they decided to do something similar with respect to their father.
Now, with respect to what Erik Menendez told you on October 31st, 1989, before Lyle Menendez arrived at your office, would it be fair to say that your notes or summary of the statement go on from page 2 to page 6?
To part of page 6.
Okay. Can you approximate how long a period of time that was?
I believe it was something like 3 hours.
Now,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're asking me which period of time?
the
From
period
what
of
to
time
what?
from when Erik Menendez told you that he and his brother had killed their parents to the time that Lyle Menendez arrived at your office.
Okay. That wouldn't be 3 hours. That would be substantially less time. Maybe an hour, something like that.
Now, during this period of time, Erik Menendez has told you that he felt very guilty and he wanted to talk to you, correct?
That's correct.
And Lyle Menendez was not there, correct?
No, he was not.
So he felt free to talk to you at that point.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
You indicated that after Lyle Menendez came, Erik Menendez became more quiet about what had happened, correct?
That's correct.
Does that mean that before Lyle Menendez came, that he was talking to you freely?
A same objection, Your Honor. Moreover, counsel leading.
Overruled.
He was talking to me much more freely before Lyle entered the room.
Now, after he told you about this BBC movie and how he and his brother, that was like the catalyst of the
Objection,
conversations.
Your Honor, that's misstating the evidence of the three.
Right, without editorializing, just ask the question, Mr. Kuriyama.
The first conversation that took place about between the brothers, according to Erik Menendez, was after they had discussed this movie that they were seeing on BBC. Is that correct?
Could you repeat the question, Mr. Kuriyama?
I think the question's already been asked.
Overruled.
Is it your understanding, according to what Erik Menendez told you, that the first time that the brothers had spoken about killing their father in particular, it was upon watching this movie on BBC? Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, after that, there was some, as you've indicated, other conversations about the particular planning of how they would do the killings. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And directing your attention to page 3, after referring to the movie and the conversation that Erik related to you about he and Lyle planning to kill their father, what conversation took place as far as what they did after the movie? What discussions took place?
Between the two of them after the movie?
Yes.
Well, if you're talking about you're talking about when they came back into the, I guess I'm not sure which
Why
point.
don't you ask the question
Yes,
another
yeah.
way?
After the movie that they had seen on this BBC,
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Well, still let him ask the question.
was there a discussion that he related to you?
Yes.
What was that?
Object, this is beyond the scope.
Overruled.
The discussion that he related to me is that that they began to have a series of discussions that related to how to form the plan such that the murder could be executed in such a way so as not to be detected. And it wasn't any one discussion they had at one point. I think that to the
Okay, you've answered the question.
Okay.
Your next question, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. You indicated that it was kind of an ongoing process, the discussions that they had about killing their father in particular, correct?
Well, that was my understanding, yes. That's what I recall Erik having described.
And the discussions had been ongoing, and you indicated that the plan had changed.
That's correct.
Your Honor, that mistakes the evidence.
Overruled.
I don't know that the actual plan had changed. I think that the issue...
Okay, you've answered the question
Okay.
then.
Did you indicate that there were discussions between the brothers about whether or not they would include their mother in the plan to kill the father?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. All of this is beyond the scope of the clause.
All right, is this discussion that you're asking about that occurred before going to acquire the firearms?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the objection overruled.
Thank you.
Yes, that's correct.
The discussions about whether or not to kill the mother as well included, according to Erik Menendez, what sort of consideration?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again. This is beyond the scope.
Can we specify when it is that this
This
conversation...
is before the actual purchase of the
Well,
shotguns.
Your Honor, that's
All right,
counsel's
then,
testimony.
why don't you ask it that way, Mr. Kuriyama, so we understand what the question is?
Dr. Oziel, prior to when Erik Menendez indicated to you that he went down to San Diego to purchase the shotguns, did he indicate to you that there was a discussion, a planning that took place after the movie and before the purchase of the shotguns, which included whether or not to include the mother in the plan?
I would say more accurately that Erik told me simply that there had been an ongoing consideration back and forth whether to include the mother in the plan or not, and it had changed back and forth. But I couldn't tell you at what point the conversation was when they purchased the shotguns. I mean, I don't know how much of it the back and forth had to do with the time before the purchase of the shotguns and how much of it took place after the purchase of the shotguns.
Your Honor, I move to strike the answer then because it's not beyond the scope, given the fact.
Well, part of it is not, so the objection is overruled.
Now, at one point, Erik Menendez indicated to you that they went down and bought shotguns in San Diego, is that correct?
That's correct.
At that point, did he tell you that the police did not know where the shotguns were purchased?
I believe at that point what he told me is he didn't believe that the police knew about any of it, including, he didn't specifically tell me they don't know where the shotguns were purchased. He just relayed to me that he didn't believe the police knew about any of it.
Motion to strike, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
Did Erik Menendez indicate to you that when they went to purchase the shotguns in San Diego that they used false identification?
He did.
Did you know from anywhere else that the shotguns had not been found, other than through Erik Menendez?
No.
Now, you indicated that Erik Menendez, on October 31st, in cross-examination, did not specifically himself threaten you. Is that correct?
Yes, he at no time verbally threatened me.
Did you feel threatened by Erik Menendez on October 31st?
Yes, I felt threatened with respect to Erik on October 31st.
Now, would it be fair to say that, as you've testified, Erik Menendez had told you that he had planned the murder with his brother?
Objection, Your Honor, this is leading and accumulating.
Well, on the grounds it's leading, the objection is sustained.
I'll ask you, Dr. Oziel, why is it that you felt threatened by Erik Menendez on October 31st?
I think it would be difficult for me to answer that.
I'm going to object to any further answer by the witness, Your Honor, at this point.
All right, then you're agreeing that the prosecution can ask a leading question in this regard, is that right?
Well, if he asks me to focus on the
All right,
question.
okay, you may ask a leading question then, Mr. Kuriyama, to deal with the subject.
Dr. Oziel, what are the factors or what are the things that led you to the conclusion?
Why don't you
in
go
your-
back to the question that was objected to by the defense and start over again?
Well, Your Honor, I'd like an offer of proof if see if Mr. Kuriyama knows what the answer
No, let's go back.
Dr. Oziel, you've indicated that you felt threatened by Erik Menendez on October 31st, correct?
I think I would state that, yes, I was feeling threatened with respect to Erik at different points in the October 31st session. I think it would be overly simplistic and inaccurate to state that the entire time that Erik was there that I felt threatened by Erik. That's not true.
At some point during that session of October 31st, 1989, you did feel threatened.
That's correct.
Okay. Can you in any way pinpoint when that occurred?
I think it was an evolving feeling. I don't think that it occurred at one moment.
Now, on cross-examination, counsel indicated that you were seeing Erik Menendez because of the Calabasas burglary. Is that correct?
Well, that was originally the presenting stimulus to why Erik came into treatment. That wasn't necessarily the focus of the treatment. That was initially.
I'm going to object under privilege to witness to say anything more about
All right, the objection is overruled. The answer will stand as it is in the record. Your next question, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, you indicated in cross-examination that on October 31st, you were afraid that Erik Menendez might break into your house, and you had some paperwork in the house. Is that correct?
Well, I was fearful that Erik and Lyle together might break into my house, not Erik specifically.
Okay, getting back to your feeling of being threatened by Erik Menendez, what else is it out of that conversation on October 31st that led you to that conclusion?
It would be very difficult for me to respond to this in an accurate way without dealing with.
Objection, Your Honor. May we please approach?
All right, you may. All right, your next question, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Oziel, after Erik Menendez had told you that he and his brother planned the killing of their parents, and in executing that plan, drove down to San Diego to purchase shotguns using false identification, that they had an alibi lined up, that they surprised their parents in the room, and in particular they killed their mother because she was a witness. Did any of those things that he had told you, did any of those things have an impact on you as to your feeling threatened by Erik Menendez?
I think that the feelings of threat that I had at that time were really affected by those things that you just mentioned and a lot of other things. I think it would be overly simplified to say that the feelings of threat came from one statement or one source or one issue. It just really wasn't that way.
Okay. Were the things that I've just related, just those items,
Components.
did they form part of the reason for your feeling threatened?
Yes, they formed part of it.
Okay, and indeed you had indicated or testified that Erik Menendez had told you how perfectly they had done the crime, that no one knew where the shotgun had been purchased, they used false identification, no one saw anything or heard anything, correct?
That's correct.
Now, after those statements were made and Lyle Menendez arrived, as on cross-examination Ms. Abramson brought out, that Lyle arrived and was telling Erik Menendez how stupid he was for telling you. Is that
Objection,
correct?
Your Honor, that's not the testimony.
Objection overruled.
Well, he didn't say that Erik was stupid. I think he said it was very stupid that Erik told me.
And what else did he say?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
He said a lot of things. He said that, Lyle said, that now they could never feel safe again, or he couldn't feel safe again, that he would never be able to feel safe again, that there was no way to know I wouldn't tell someone, confidentially tip them, or somehow or other let out the information, that he didn't want anybody looking over his shoulder. That's the reason that he killed his parents to begin with. He said that this was very, very bad. It made him extremely unhappy, very unhappy. He was repeating that as he was pacing, and he didn't know what he was going to have to do about this. There were just a whole lot of statements that were made, and in a menacing fashion, some portion of the time with Lyle pacing and having a very intense, threatening and menacing look on his face. It was very clear to me from...
Objection, I think he answered the question.
Okay.
All right, the objection is sustained. Your next question, please.
Now, based on all of that, you felt threatened, I take it?
Yes, I did.
Now, after Erik left the room, did Lyle tell you what he was going to do after that, after Erik left?
Well, we had a discussion after that. Is that what you're...
Yes. What did you say?
Well,
Your Honor, I'm going to object unless this has been brought out in cross-examination. I object.
This is after Lyle Menendez has left and what Erik Menendez has
After
told.
Erik Menendez has left. And this is a statement that was brought out in cross-examination, I believe.
Okay, objection overruled.
Thank you.
I was trying to persuade Lyle to come back into the session, feeling very strongly that if...
Objection as to the witness's feelings. He was
Okay.
asked what was
All right,
said.
objection sustained.
Okay. I told Lyle that I thought that it was very important for them to come back into the session and try to resolve this, and that I was extremely uncomfortable and felt threatened by what had happened, and that I thought we needed to come back in and resolve this that night, and to get Erik and bring him back in and resolve what had just occurred in the session, namely...
Objection, hearsay. I think what was asked is what did Lyle say, not...
Objection overruled. Had you finished?
No.
All right, you may proceed.
Sorry, Your Honor. Lyle's response to that was that, no, he just wanted to go talk to his little brother, number one, and number two, that he wasn't sure that he wanted to ever talk to me anymore at all, or words to that effect, which to me were chilling words.
Objection as to his interpretation.
Objection sustained.
Okay.
After this exchange, you went down and you saw Erik and Lyle Menendez in Erik Menendez's Jeep,
That's correct.
and there was an exchange between you and Erik Menendez at the Jeep.
Objection
No.
mistakes the other.
No, it wasn't.
So after,
By the way, Your Honor, I should let you know that I'm going to need a bathroom break in a minute.
Okay, all right.
after Erik and Lyle Menendez left, that's when you started to make the calls, correct?
That's correct.
And you felt threatened by both of the brothers. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is fair to say.
Now, on cross-examination, you were asked a question referring you to page 5 of the notes.
How much longer do you have, Mr. Kuriyama?
Probably 15 minutes, Your Honor.
15 more minutes. Okay. Oh, and as far as the recross so far, how much more would you have?
Nothing yet.
Okay, well, we're going to keep going, ladies and gentlemen. I want to finish this witness today. I think everyone would agree that that would be appropriate. So we'll take a brief break, let the witness take care of his personal needs, and we'll resume at 1:45. Don't discuss this case with anyone, don't form any opinions about it, and we'll resume at 1:45, which is about 9 minutes from now.
Dr. Oziel, with respect to the questioning that was done in cross-examination about these logs that you have from September of '88 to August 20th of '89, the
Yes.
billing records.
Yes.
Now, you indicated that you had several sessions with Erik Menendez, correct, during that period of time?
I had more than several. I think.
Okay, you had many sessions.
A series of sessions, yes.
Now, you indicated that sometime after November 2nd, 1989, you took the notes that you had and you destroyed them. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now,
The physical notes.
the paper.
The paper itself, yes.
And sometime shortly thereafter, you dictated the notes summarizing what were on those notes?
Yes, what I actually did is in going over the notes, I had a cryptic piece of paper where I logged the sessions that I thought were critical and made cryptic notes that didn't refer to anything that would identify any one specifically, just to refresh my memory about each session, the content of it, and then dictated very shortly afterwards into the tape recorder what the content of the session notes were, having just read them, and then I just dictated them onto the tape so that they wouldn't be in a written form, such that anybody could actually just read them and see them, and because I thought that the notes shouldn't be read.
Objection as to what you thought, Your Honor.
The last part is stricken as non-responsive. You may ask your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. For some reason, did you think that those notes should not be read?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Well, the court knows what the objection is to questions like that. For some reason, we thought, it's
Well, what is the objection? Is legal grounds for it?
privilege.
All right. Why don't you rephrase the question?
Why is it that you got rid of the paper or the notes that were written on these papers?
Your Honor, I'm going to object on the same basis.
Overruled.
I thought it was very important that no one be able to visually see the actual data that related to the sessions that I'd had up to that point with any member of the Menendez family.
Dr. Oziel, do you recall putting the notes then on audio tapes?
Yes, I did put them on an audio tape.
Okay, was it one audio tape that contained the summaries of the sessions that occurred between September 1988 and August of 1989?
Yes, I believe that I just summarized the sessions on audio tape. It may even have been the same audio tape as I subsequently recorded these sessions on. I don't recall, but I did put them on audio tape.
With respect to that audio tape, what did you do with it?
I put that audio tape in my safe.
Is that the safe that you had at home?
Yes, the one at home.
Did that particular audio cassette tape end up somewhere else?
Ultimately, it did, yes.
Where did it end up?
Safe to deposit box.
Okay. When the Beverly Hills Police Department did a search warrant on your house, was that particular tape among the other tapes that you had done regarding the Menendezes?
Yes, it was.
Were those tapes also seized along with the tapes that, or the tape that you've testified to regarding the October 31st, 1989 and November 2nd, 1989 sessions?
That's correct. It was seized.
Was that particular tape part of the hearings that occurred in Santa Monica
Objection, Your
in
Honor.
June?
That's irrelevant and invades 1024.
Objection sustained.
You don't have those tapes anymore, is that correct?
I do not.
Any of them?
I don't have any of the tapes.
Regarding the hearings that took place in Santa Monica Court,
Objection, Your Honor.
In-
Irrelevant and invades 1024.
We haven't heard the question yet. Objection overruled.
thank you, Your Honor. On June 15th of 1990, counsel read from a transcript from those proceedings. At page 36 on that date, she read you a portion in which you stated, "I concluded that they had basically a perfect situation where no one would discover them." That was read to you just shortly before we took the break
That's correct.
by the defense attorney, correct?
That's correct.
Now, when you testified in that fashion in Santa Monica Superior Court, what did you mean by that? That you concluded? What did you base that conclusion on?
Well, I based it on a combination of what was stated to me in the 1031 session and then my own conclusion about the data that I had received from first Erik and then by adoption Lyle.
And did that include the conversation that the brothers themselves used, or words that they themselves used, that they did the perfect murder?
Yes, Erik used that phrase, and Lyle used that phrase in the 1031 session.
Now, you were asked on cross-examination about a statement as reflected on page 5 of your notes. It's the middle paragraph on that page. And this is out of the October 31st, 1989 session.
Yes?
That Erik had more and more difficulty dealing with the fact that they were going to be inheriting a great deal of money, probably in the neighborhood of $15 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
At that point, that is October 31st, 1989, he was having more and more difficulty with that. Is that correct?
Yes, he was.
Now, I'm going to direct your attention to page 19 of the transcript that you have before you. This being toward the end of the November 2nd session. And direct you to the second paragraph, the last sentence.
Yes.
Would you read that last sentence?
I'm going to object to that as beyond the scope because that was dealt with in front of both juries.
Objection sustained.
Did Erik Menendez ever tell you
And I'm going to
what?
object.
We haven't heard the question yet.
Did Erik Menendez ever tell you what he was thinking about the money situation before he committed the murder?
No.
That is, on November.
I think the question's been answered.
All right, the question is vague, the answer is stricken. Re-ask the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. On November 2nd, 1989, did Erik Menendez tell you what his state of mind was with respect to money before he committed the killings?
I don't believe that that's what that statement relates to. I believe that that statement,
Well, I'm going to object, Your Honor, because the witness now is referring to a statement that's already been examined before both juries. So.
All right, the objection is that this is beyond the scope of the cross-examination that is occurring at this stage before this jury, and the objection is sustained. This was something that was covered earlier and was not subject to the cross-examination by Ms. Abramson before this jury.
Dr. Oziel, was there a statement about an inheritance?
Objection, Your Honor.
And what conversation are you referring to?
Your Honor, I'm referring to the November 2nd conversation. I just want to clarify, and this is my last question. And I will be done with redirect examination.
Same objection, Your Honor.
All right, well, it'll be the same ruling then, Ms. Abramson, as I did with you when you said it was going to be the last question. Objection is,
Anything on the last question?
at 5 o'clock or 5:01 on Wednesday, the 11th of August, 1993, yes. All right, so you may ask the question, Mr.
Thank you, Your
Creon.
Honor.
I get the question.
No.
Dr. Oziel, referring to page 19 again, did Erik Menendez indicate to you anything about an inheritance as a reason for getting rid of his father? The last
I'm hesitating
sentence.
because I'm trying to determine whether I can answer the question the way that you asked it.
Well, why don't you ask it, let's have the question read back first, start with that. This being the last question.
By the prosecution.
Question, Dr. Oziel, referring to page 19 again, did Erik Menendez indicate to you anything about an inheritance as a reason for getting rid of his father?
Well, let me clarify and state that he recounted a memory of what his father, how his father had behaved with respect to threatening to disinherit him, as an indication of how extreme and unreasonable his father was. And he did state that that was an example of why, of what contributed to, or evidence of his need to kill his father. That would be correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this a question that you want to ask, or you just want to get in the last word? Which is it, Ms. Abramson?
Your Honor, I'm so tired right now that I'd be more than happy to go home, but I think I have to ask just a couple of questions.
All right, within the scope of the examination by the prosecution, you have the opportunity to ask 2 questions.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Dr. Oziel, let's stay with that same topic. Erik was not telling you, in what you've related here on page 19, that he killed his father because he nearly disinherited him, was he?
No, I don't believe he was.
He was trying to tell you that his father's threat to disinherit him at some time in the past was an example of his father's extreme erratic behavior.
That is correct.
Now, it's true, is it not, Dr. Oziel, that in these notes of the section of the session of October 31st, before Lyle got there, you do not specifically say that Erik told you there were a series of conversations and discussions leading up to a decision to kill the parents?
It is correct. In the notes, I do not say that.
And it is also correct, is it not, in the notes, there is no delineation of a plan.
Well, I don't know what you mean by delineation.
Okay. You've said that they discussed planning, they discussed killing, but you don't lay out in these notes what the plan was.
All right, that is beyond the scope of the cross.
No, the counsel
or
asked about the
redirect,
details of the
rather.
plan.
Well, they didn't ask the details of the plan in their entirety, only a specific portion of it related prior to the trip to San Diego to purchase the guns.
Okay, well, let's focus on that then. Prior to, let me just focus you on this. Physically, in these notes, reference is made to the I'm sorry, let me just focus on where they are. Okay. Let me call your attention to page 3. Yeah, you need to know.
I have it.
Thank you. Physically, in the notes, the way the notes are dictated, the reference to going to San Diego and purchasing guns is on the bottom of page 3.
That's correct.
Okay. Prior to that in the notes, is there any delineation of any aspect of a plan?
I don't know what you would consider a plan.
Well, but is there anything in here that talks about a plan to kill? I think you said the plan was a plan to kill in such a way as to escape detection. Do you see anything relating to that in these notes prior to that point?
I don't see anything in the notes that specifically delineates a plan up to this point in the notes.
Okay. Now, after that point in the notes, is any description having to do with the plan, such as buying the guns, having an alibi, going into the room where their parents were? Is that all contained in that very same paragraph as going to San Diego and buying the guns, the bottom of page 3?
Not everything that was said to me is contained in that paragraph, but the things that do relate to the plan that are included in the notes for the session, I believe, are primarily contained in this paragraph.
So that's
The
the
objection is to the answer is non-responsive, the objection is sustained, and also the question is actually beyond the scope of the people's redirect, so the court sustains the objection to the
Okay.
question as well.
So let me see if I understand. Prior to any mention of San Diego, there is really no indication in the notes about ongoing discussions involving planning. Is that correct?
Well, it does state that he and Lyle had tossed back and forth the notion of how their lives wouldn't be living.
Right.
It does. I mean, there are elements that one could state related to the plan, but it doesn't specifically mention the word plan or detail a plan prior to that point in the notes.
Well, it talks about basically motive, that their life wouldn't be worth living, but it doesn't talk about plan. Isn't that true?
Well, it talks about the show, and in Erik's talking about the show, Erik discussed some things that related to the plan, but he did not elaborate his plan with Lyle at the point that he talked about the show.
Okay, and I think you've already testified previously in front of this jury about, in front of both juries, in fact, about what you meant by plan. Is that correct?
All right, that's been asked and answered. Go on to something else.
Now, you said you put the tape that you made of the extraction from the written notes in the safe in your house, right?
Best of my recollection.
And that's where you put the tape of October 31st and November 2nd as well, correct?
To the best of my recollection,
And you
yes.
had both of those tapes duplicated, numerous copies.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So when the police went to the safe deposit box, there were a lot of separate cassettes.
Yes, there were.
In any of this discussion that you had with Erik and Lyle about the perfect murder that you've just testified to, did you bring up the fact that they had not really buried the guns, but just sort of dumped them
Objection beyond the scope.
as an imperfection?
Objection sustained.
Did they bring up in talking about perfect the fact that they had dumped the guns?
Objection beyond the scope.
Overruled.
Can you be specific about which discussion?
Well, either on October 31st or November 2nd, did either Erik or Lyle bring up the fact that dumping the guns made the plan perfect?
Made it perfect or made it imperfect?
Perfect.
They thought that getting rid of the guns was made it perfect, but they didn't think that they had perfectly buried the guns or gotten rid of the guns. They felt they still needed to in a more effective or efficient way, get rid of the guns.
And isn't it true, Dr. Oziel, that you offered them suggestions on how to do that?
No, actually, that's not true.
You didn't tell them the ocean is better than lying on a hillside. Is that your testimony?
No, actually, that's not true. I didn't say that, to
Nothing
the best of my
further.
recollection.
Nothing further on.
All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down. You're excused, subject to being recalled. Dr. Oziel?
Either on Halloween of 1989 or within a day or so of that date, did Dr. Oziel call you with a matter of concern to
Any
him?
object to that question is leaving us the time.
Overruled.
Yes, he did.
Now, do you have a specific recollection sitting here today of what the date was that Dr. Oziel called you?
Not exactly, no.
Do you remember that it was near or on Halloween, or do you have any recollection as to that?
My recollection has been refreshed within the last week as to that time period. Whether or not it was Halloween or the next day, I can't tell you, but it was in that period.
Could you see if you can move the microphone up, please? I think, no, all right.
Higher?
All right, Mr. Brunon, when Dr. Oziel called you, were you at your home or your office, if you recall?
I was at home.
And would you describe his demeanor? That is, how did he sound to you on the phone?
Okay, I didn't see him, but he sounded excited, anxious. He was speaking more rapidly than he normally did, or than I had normally been accustomed to hearing him. And he seemed to have some tension in his voice.
Now, at that time, in either October or early November of 1989, approximately how many years had you known Dr. Oziel?
In 1989, I had known him probably 4 or 5 years.
What did he say to you when he called you that day, or that evening, pardon me?
I don't remember exactly how he began the conversation, and I don't remember the conversation sequence by sequence, sentence by sentence, but he informed me that he had clients who had admitted to him that they had committed a serious offense. And after they had told him of the offense, they had said to him or made statements to him that he took to be threatening. And he wanted to know what he could do under the circumstances, what were his options, what did I think about that.
What did you tell him?
Well, I asked for more information, and the conversation was not as sequential as this, but I asked him a little bit how serious was the offense, and he said, well, it's the most serious, it's murder. I said, all right. What does he know about it? And he said, well, there's not much evidence. His understanding was that the facts had not been developed.
Object to the statement about his understanding
Are you relating what was told to you by Mr. Oziel?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, objection overruled.
And I asked him how serious he felt the threats were, and he said he felt that they were serious. I said, well, here are the options as I see them at this point. You can call the police, and the police will either act at this point or not act. Depends on the balance of the facts. And since I don't know the facts, I can't tell you whether or not they would act. If they do act, then his patients would be arrested, and so at that point they would present less of a threat to him. If the police, for whatever reason, elected not to act at that time, the investigation hadn't developed far enough, or it was still under active investigation, and there's all variety of reasons why they might not act even with a confession, then if that information came to light, he would be in peril. And I discussed with him the impracticality of having a full-time bodyguard for himself and his family. He has a wife and 2 children, and it's just impossible to have full-time armed protection.
Let me interrupt you and ask another question, Mr. Brunon. Aside from the option of calling the police or hiring a bodyguard, did you discuss any other options with him?
Well, the conversation evolved. I explained the balance of the system, how it would work, that even if the police acted, you couldn't accurately predict what the prosecution would do at that point. Because once an arrest has made, certain time limits start applying, and they may not elect to file at that point, and so he would be in danger.
Now, by file, could you just explain what you mean about filing?
After an arrest is made, essentially on, in most instances, on the belief by the officer that a crime has been committed, reasonable suspicion, reasonable belief. The prosecution then reviews the facts that the police present to them and make an election to file the case because the facts present potential of a criminal prosecution. And in Los Angeles County, my understanding of the filing criteria is that the district attorney wants to have sufficient facts at the time of filing from which they can prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. They don't use a reasonable suspicion filing standard. They use a...
object to that, Your Honor, to strike. It's his conclusion. He doesn't look for this.
Well, the objection is sustained as far as the conclusion of the witness. At this point, we want to confine ourselves to what it was he told Dr. Oziel.
I'll continue then. Mr. Brunon, do you have a specialty as a lawyer?
I do.
And what is your specialty?
I'm a certified specialist in criminal law, and I have practiced only criminal and administrative law for 23 years.
Mr. Brunon, did you explain to Dr. Oziel the procedures by which a case may or may not find its way into the system?
I did.
And what else did you advise him?
Well, that was basically it in terms of the system, that I just couldn't tell him with any degree of certainty what would happen if he revealed the communications to the police or other prosecutorial authority. We discussed briefly witness protection, and that also was impractical because of his profession, his property ownership, the circle of friends that he has, and business acquaintances. Witness protection was out of the question. And so we eventually, the discussion evolved to the point that he would maintain contact with his patients and monitor the relationship so that if he felt that the peril was too great, that there was something imminent that was to occur, then he would consider changing his tactic. But in the meantime, he would try to maintain continuous evaluation of the situation.
And when you say, I think you said something like monitor his patients, are you saying the people that he had referred to as having made these statements to him earlier and threatened him?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on March the 8th of 1990, several months after you had this phone call with Dr. Oziel, were you called to his home in, I think it's Sherman Oaks?
Yes, I was.
And when you got there, was Detective Zoller there along with some other personnel from the Beverly Hills Police Department and other agencies?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll resume.
Mr. Brunon, on March the 8th of 1980, did you get called to Dr. Oziel's home in Sherman Oaks?
Did you say 1980?
I'm sorry, I meant to say 1990.
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, were the police there executing the search warrant?
Yes.
Were items seized pursuant to that search warrant?
I know there were, but I didn't. Well, yes, I saw some items there as well.
All right, now, in the summer of 1990, did Dr. Oziel assert the privilege as to matters that were taken, as to items that were taken from his home during the execution of the search warrant in March?
Yes, he did.
And did he hire you to represent him in that proceeding?
I was already representing him, but I continued to represent him in that regard as well.
On or about December the 7th of 1992, did Dr. Oziel testify in front of the grand jury?
He did.
And was a court order required by you for him before he testified? Let me rephrase it. Did you ask the prosecution to get a judge to sign a court order ordering him to testify?
Well, I told you, I believe it was you, that Dr. Oziel would not testify except upon court order.
And was that provided to you?
It was.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
All right, cross-examination.
Mr. Brunon, as a certified criminal law specialist, are you familiar with Evidence Code Section 1015?
I
don't have them memorized. I'm sure I know the content,
Could I show it to you to refresh your memory?
if you like.
Here, I have this one.
All right. And do we have the same ones? Oh, yes, 1015.
Could you tell everybody what that says?
That's a section in a group of sections dealing with privileges, and that requires a psychotherapist, someone who is a privilege holder, such as a psychotherapist, such as a psychologist, as Dr. Oziel is, to claim the privilege in the event some third party wants to know about a confidential communication.
For instance, if a court or district attorney asks Dr. Oziel to come to court and testify, he's legally obligated to claim the privilege under that section, right?
If he's asked to testify about a communication from a patient that is not accepted, yes.
Okay. And I think you said you had known Dr. Oziel 4 or 5 years before 1989. Is that correct?
Approximately.
Could you tell us how you came to know him?
Objection irrelevant. Yes,
Sustained.
Could I approach on that, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Brunon, is it true that you first were introduced to Dr. Oziel in regard to a situation before the licensing board involving an individual named Court Day?
I'm not sure that that's when I first met him, no.
Is it true that you represented him in settlement negotiations that related to the Court Day litigation?
That is true.
And you, in fact, negotiated a settlement in that case?
I did.
And did you continue to represent him on other matters after the Court Day litigation?
I don't know if I recall anything else coming up, but I continued a relationship with him thereafter.
Was that a professional relationship or also a social one?
Not so. We're friends. I mean, we're friendly. I like him. And so we have that relationship. He calls me from time to time if an issue comes up. But, well, does that answer your question?
Well, did you represent him on other litigation or licensing board matters other than Court Day in the period before 1989 when he made this telephone call to you?
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did you represent him on any matter in late October, November 1989 when he called you?
I don't believe no, not at that time.
In other words, you had nothing outstanding with him at that point?
No.
And is it true that you have represented Dr. Oziel in this case? That is, as a witness, you've appeared in this court and represented his interests before this court. Isn't that true?
Yes, I have attempted to.
And you've also represented his interests in other courts relating to this case, correct?
I have.
you filed litigation for him involving service of the search warrant, for instance?
We tendered that so that you all could resolve it. We did tender that, yes. We didn't litigate it, but we tendered it.
Well, you filed a separate lawsuit about protecting a videotape of the search warrant services.
Well, that was for his own private interest.
Right.
The news.
I don't want to go into the
All right.
details. I just
But
am
yes, I
interested.
did.
And you have appeared in this court, in Judge Weisberg's court, on several occasions and argued on behalf of Dr. Oziel, have you not?
I think 2 occasions.
And there are also other lawyers currently representing Dr. Oziel, correct, in civil matters?
Objection, calls for speculation, consent to scope.
Sustained.
Do you know if there are other lawyers in the courthouse right now who represent Dr. Oziel, or who were here earlier today?
Your Honor, same objection.
Sustained.
Now, Mr. Brunon, have you told us, to the best of your recollection, everything that you remember about this conversation you had with Dr. Oziel?
No.
Is there anything else that you can remember about the conversation?
Yes.
Could you tell us what else he said to you when you had this conversation
All right.
that you consider not privileged? Not asking for privileged information.
I understand, and I am considering the entire conversation to be unprivileged. The one thing that wasn't asked, or the one additional thing that may be material, is that during the course of the conversation, he brought up the idea of preparing a tape recording or some sort of a communication that he would place in the hands of a third party and advise the patients of its existence and its content, which would be a summary of the statements that had been made to him, the confession. And he asked me what I thought about that, and I thought that that had some efficacy in perhaps protecting him from some untoward events.
Now, you said your memory was refreshed as to the time of this conversation by something you saw or looked at last week, was it?
Either the end of last week, the weekend, Monday or Tuesday, sometime after Dr. Oziel began his testimony.
And what was it that you saw that refreshed your memory as to the date of this conversation?
It's not the date so much as the time frame, and I have 3 sources of data on that. I talked.
I'm going to object to that the answer's not responsive.
Well, the question has to do with what refreshed his recollection. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Are you answering that?
I'm trying to. I don't know mechanically what caused the synapse in my brain to cause me to remember it, but I talked to Dr. Oziel after he had testified about it to learn the parameters of his testimony because of the attorney-client privilege. I needed to know what the scope of his testimony was so I could guide my testimony. That helped me recall when it occurred.
All right, let me stop you right there. When you say the parameters, do you mean Dr. Oziel told you the dates? Are we talking time parameters?
I don't. Well, also the scope of the testimony, how much he testified about that conversation. I don't know. I wanted to know if he just said he had a conversation or if he went into the contents of it with me so that I would know whether or not I could go into the contents of it. And I don't recall if he mentioned the date, if I saw it in the newspaper, or if I saw it on one of the newscasts of it. But wherever I saw it or heard it, it struck a bell with me. Yes, that's when it did occur.
All right. So let me ask, is there anything else you used to refresh your memory other than what you just referred to?
No,
Now, is it true that you didn't take any notes of this conversation?
that is true.
Did you bill him for that particular session? And
No,
I don't mean that offensively. I'm trying to establish the
No.
dates here.
No, I didn't bill him for that.
And do you know what your office telephone number was on the date that you received that call?
I do, but he called me at home.
And what, if you don't mind telling us, would you mind telling us what your telephone number was?
Well, I don't know, if, assuming it's the same phone number?
Yeah, it is, but I don't think it would help you because it was in Santa Monica and it's a local call.
And he was in, at that time, Beverly Hills.
That was my understanding.
And do you remember the time that the call came in?
It was in the evening. My best guess would be 9 or 10 o'clock. It was not 7, 8 o'clock. It was later than that, 9 or 10 o'clock, maybe even a little bit later.
And from the time you received that call up until today, how many conversations have you had with Dr. Oziel concerning the events that you testified about here today, would you say?
Could we be more specific as to which events you're talking about? You're talking about
I'm talking about the telephone conversation that you testified about here today.
The conversation continued. There was a first conversation, and then we had subsequent conversations immediately thereafter in the next week, 10 days, just to see how it was developing. Then we didn't talk about it until this past week.
Right. And when you were representing him, you represented him in the Santa Monica Superior Court during proceedings there, correct?
Yeah, yes, I did.
You actually appeared in the Superior Court and was there as Dr. Oziel was testifying, isn't that true?
I don't think I attended his testimony. I think an associate from my office did.
Did you ever discuss with him during that time period, that is a period of time when the litigation was going on in Santa Monica, the events that you've testified about here today concerning the conversation?
Not to my recollection. I don't believe I did.
And could you tell me how seeing the date or having this conversation with Dr. Oziel pinned in your mind when the conversation took place that you testified about?
I didn't hear the first part of your question.
Could you explain to me how seeing something in the newspaper or talking to Dr. Oziel allowed you to bring back in your mind within a 2-day period when this conversation took place?
Well, I was familiar in general terms with the sequence of events, the homicide in August, the search warrant in March, so that gave me the outside parameters. And I don't know the mental process of how it did it. All I know is that after I heard that, it sounded right. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I don't have an independent recollection of looking at the calendar, for example.
In other words, did the information sound right, or did the date sound right, or did they both sound right?
Both.
Right. Now, is there anything, can you say it was on October 31st?
Not with absolute certainty, no.
Can you say it was on November 1st?
I can't say what day it was with absolute certainty. I can say it was in that time with a high degree of certainty.
And can it be as late as a week after November 1st?
I don't think it was that late.
And can you tell us why you can eliminate that with a high degree of certainty?
Because of the planning and preparation. Well, there were certain things that he said he was going to do, which was, the main thing was the preparation of the tape and the evolution of that. And I know approximately when the tapes were created, so it was before the creation of the tapes.
How do you know when the tapes were
No, I'm
created?
going to object at this point, Mr. Burge.
Let me, could I rephrase the
Yes.
question?
Can I confer with counsel?
Sure. Mr. Bruno, do you know, based on your recollection of that conversation, whether Dr. Oziel had talked to anyone else? Did he say that you were the first person he was contacting regarding this?
Objection, are we talking about the conversation on or about October 31st?
Well, whatever date it was, the first time he called you about this.
He said he had talked to someone else.
Did he say who that was?
I don't now recall if he did or didn't.
And did he say that the patient or patients had confessed to him?
He did.
Did he present it to you as a hypothetical case, or did he name names?
He did. I knew who he was talking about. I don't think he named names
How did you know who he was talking about?
because I had read the paper. I was familiar with the facts of the case. I knew that Lyle and Erik were his patients.
And so did he begin by saying the patients, and then you said, I know who you're talking about?
I don't think he ever said the names. I don't know if I said the names. I believe I said, I think I know who you're talking about.
All right. And at some point during the conversation, then it was not just a hypothetical situation. The two of you were discussing this case, correct?
Well, we were discussing what became this case, and no, I didn't treat it as hypothetical.
And did he tell you the details of the confession?
No.
Did he say to you that he was threatened?
Yes.
Did he say to you that anybody else was threatened?
No.
And I think you said that at the end of the conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, that a resolution of some kind was reached that he would continue in the relationship with the patient and monitor, I think is the word you used. Do you recall that?
I did use that word, and resolution probably is too concrete of a word, of a term, or may imply that we had figured out exactly what he was going to do, and that wasn't the case. I left it. I said, I can tell you legally what may or may not happen, based on what you're telling me and my familiarity with the legal system. I can tell you, we'd already acknowledged that he could report it because of the threat that had been communicated. I didn't know his relationship to the patients, and I said, you're just going to have to make the call yourself, because I can't predict that. I don't know the people you're talking about. I don't know them as well as you do, so I can't evaluate it. So you're just going to have to make that decision as to what you actually do.
And do you remember what you said about calling the police?
I said that was one of the things he could do.
And did you tell him that the police or the prosecution, once in possession of the confession, that there would not be a conviction? That
No.
There was no chance there would be a conviction if he handed over a confession?
No, I said I told him I didn't know what the outcome would be, because I didn't know the balance of the case. And it has been my experience that a confession is, highly material evidence, but it is not always determinative.
Right.
And I tried to convey that to him.
But did you ever say to him that based upon your experience as a criminal law attorney, that based upon the evidence that he said was existent, that it was at best the flip of a coin whether there would ever be a conviction? Did you ever make that statement to him?
I don't know. I attempted to convey to him that it was impossible to predict what would happen with any precision, that they may or may not arrest, they may or may not indict or file a complaint, and after that, what happens in the system is anybody's guess.
And you have no specific recollection of telling him that if there was a confession, it would be a flip of a coin as to whether anybody would be convicted?
I don't recall using those words. I could have said something in that sense.
And was that based on your knowledge that the the reliability of a confession turned somewhat on the source of who was saying the person confessed?
Judge calls for an opinion for which he's not being offered as an expert.
Objection sustained.
Did you tell Dr. Oziel that based on your experience, confessions, especially from unreliable sources, were sometimes not trustworthy and not good evidence? Words to that effect.
No, I wouldn't have said anything like that.
You said in your direct examination that Dr. Oziel said to you that there was not much evidence. Do you recall that testimony?
He told me that was his understanding.
And did he indicate what evidence there was, if you remember? If you don't.
You're talking about other than the confession?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. I don't recall him doing that.
He may have, you just don't recall.
I don't think he did. Nothing rings a bell as to what he may have said, and my understanding independently of that at that time was that there was not a whole lot of evidence.
Well, I'm not asking for your understanding, I'm asking what he told you.
I don't recall him elaborating on what evidence, if any, existed at that time.
Thank you.
All right, cross-examination on behalf of Erik Menendez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Brunon, you made a certain assumption here that Dr. Oziel, on whatever night this was, called you from his office, correct?
I assumed that he called me from Beverly Hills.
Well, that's what I just said. You assumed that, correct?
You said office. I said Beverly Hills.
All right. Well, did he live in Beverly Hills?
He lived over the hill from Beverly Hills.
Okay. Did you think he was calling you from his office?
I didn't form an opinion at that time as to where he was calling me from.
All right, then let's assume just for the sake of this question that you don't know where he was calling from, correct?
Okay.
All right. And therefore, where you lived, Santa Monica, could well have been a toll call from wherever he was calling from.
It could have been.
And because this is being televised, I don't want to ask you openly for your telephone number, but I would ask you to write it down on a piece of paper.
I would be happy to do that for you.
Thank you. May I approach you?
Yes.
And may I mark this piece of paper that Mr. Brunon is going to mark? Next in order, though I don't know what that is.
136.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just so that he's
Your Honor, may I request that this not be released to the media?
Yes. You may request that.
Well, since I have no standing, I can't move for it, I suppose.
Okay, I will take this away. Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
You're welcome.
During the course, well, strike that. You said you had known Dr. Oziel for some time and that you were friendly with him. Did you know Judalon Smith as of Halloween of 1989?
I can say that as of this moment, I do not know Judalon Smith.
Had you ever heard her name mentioned to you by Dr. Oziel before October 31st, 1989?
Objection beyond the scope.
Sustained.
Well, Your Honor, this is just foundational.
Objection sustained.
Did he tell you during the course of this conversation that he had told all the details of the supposed confession to a Judalon Smith before he ever talked to you?
He didn't tell me that.
Did he tell you that he had told the details to a girlfriend?
No, he didn't tell me that.
Did he tell you that he had told the details to a business associate?
No, you're still talking about Miss Smith, I take it?
Let's just say he might have used those words. Did he tell you that he had told anybody?
He told me that he had discussed it with either other lawyers or other
Therapists.
therapists, I don't know, psychiatrists or psychologists, but other people trained in that area. And
Did he ask your advice on whether he should tell a woman that he was having an affair with about this supposed confession in order to protect her?
he did not ask me that, no.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
You're welcome.
All right, any redirect?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down. You're excused.
Thank you.